Hello and welcome to Twitter Spaces with EverGrow Steve. If you're hearing this, it's because you're listening to the podcast version of the live Twitter space. I started this podcast because many of you listeners have told me that you don't actually use Twitter. So I want to make sure you are informed and you have the opportunity to listen. Whether you're listening on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or any other streaming platforms, I want to welcome you. If you have any questions about the topics covered in this live stream, please leave me a comment. I really do check them. If you're listening on YouTube, I will be putting up visuals to complement what we're talking about here on the Twitter Spaces, so please keep an eye out for those. My goal is to bring you the very best information possible on EverGrow, and I work really hard to keep you all informed about that. Appreciate the updates. Just please give me a follow. I would really appreciate it. Please also understand that we're all incredibly enthusiastic about EverGrow and the utilities in development. Please do your own research before investing in any cryptocurrency project. I am not a financial advisor, so please do not consider my or any of the guest speakers' talking points as financial advice. I'm just trying to share with you my particular viewpoint and why, for me, EverGrow is one of my investment choices. Thank you so much for listening, and let's get started. Michael Garber, how you doing? Will, Ed Hopkins, hope you guys are doing well, having a good weekend so far. Can you hear me okay? Michael Garber, old crypto dude, man, haven't seen you in a long time. Herson, Will, Zax, we got USMC, Ed Hopkins. How you guys doing? Can you hear me okay? Awesome. Hope you guys are having a good weekend so far. All right, who else we got in here? Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. Really appreciate it. We're pretty much right on time here. Hopefully we'll see from Miko. Good to see you too. Hope you're having a good weekend. And the shy William Blake. Thanks for joining. What else we got? Insignificant Cog. And I think, right on. Good to see you too, Will, man. All right. Thank you so much for joining. Right on. Well, it's 2 o'clock. We'll just get on rolling. CWP, how you doing? If anybody wants to come up and contribute while we're kind of going on it, by all means, just raise your hand and I'll give you the mic. Yeah, we'll get rolling here. So yeah, welcome to Twitter Space number 43. As usual, we talk about EverGrow, LunaSky NFT Marketplace, Atlas Wallet, and other future utilities, as well as crypto news from the week. So like I said, Big B, I'm going to go ahead and add you as a speaker. Just give me 2 seconds. It'll just take a moment to connect.
Hey, how's it going, Steve?
Good, Big B. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
What's new with you?
Got a quick. Not much. Had a little something change up as far as buying some crypto today. I was getting online to kind of see about buying some LunaSky, and anyway, got everything set up.
Nice.
My bank, you have to call and you have to call up and get a block, taken out. Make sure.
Look at that. With some banks, you got to call them up.
Go through. Yeah, well, the thing is, I called them this time. Been doing it for a little bit before EverGrow came along, and this time they won't even do a transaction with Simplex. They won't let you do any foreign transaction. I guess since the SEC lawsuit with Binance and Coinbase, I guess they just totally block any kind of foreign transaction, because I'm like, we've done this so many times, and they've been doing them. I mean, when you call up, they exactly know what it's for and know what to do, but they have totally blocked it out. And actually, I had called the bank down here to see if they did it, and they haven't blocked it yet. They said, no, we're not going to do that. So got to see about swapping banks and everything. They will not do any transactions as far as foreign transaction, knowing where it's going to crypto.
That sucks, man. I mean, I'm hoping when Atlas Wallet was released, we're going to be able to get around some of this stuff with multiple. Go ahead.
The funny thing is the bank I talked to, they said if you do a few transactions and we recognize it, they won't worry about blocking it. They'll recognize it when you put it through, and they'll allow it. And I thought, well, that's pretty good, because I'm thinking every time I've had to do it for the last year and a half, 2 years, we've had to call up every time and get a block taken off. But that was the only problem we had, you know.
Right,
I was
right.
wondering if anybody else had run into any.
Wild, huh? There's a lot.
Yeah, I just didn't know.
Yeah, there's a lot going on with the news and Binance and all that stuff. So I think a lot of banks are kind of being more of a conservative, with crypto and stuff like that. So it's just unfortunate because it's not even directly related to Binance, right? Or DeFi. So I don't even have to worry about. But Simplex, I think they are out of, is it Ireland or something? I can't remember now. You see, they're European or something like that. I'm not too sure. Maybe it's Scotland.
Yeah, they won't do it anymore. That's kind of weird because it's a good bank. It's a really good bank.
Yeah.
But I called one of the ones, more local ones, so I'm gonna swap with them. Go down and do a bank checking. I was actually gonna do it today. They're open until 12, but I just missed them before they shut the doors.
Do you only have Simplex as an option where you are for making a purchase?
Right now, I mean that's the easiest one we use. I mean we haven't tried anybody else. Huh?
I used I think I used MoonPay at one point, and the last time I bought MoonPay wasn't an option, so it was can't remember the name of the provider now, what it was now, but it's one of the ones that we're going to partner with Atlas Wallet. I think Paul had talked about it before, but yeah, I mean if you got multiple options, then try each one. But I noticed some of them are a little more particular than others in terms of identity verification. This one that I did just a couple days ago for a Lucro purchase, they wanted my driver's license, probably because I've never used them before, but normally I go through Simplex or MoonPay.
Yeah, it'll work. I was just curious to see if anybody else had that problem.
Yeah.
Yes, I have. I've had that problem. Using everything but MoonPay with my bank. Simplex, I had to turn off the fraud detection. At first, I was able to do that by just calling them. Then they required me to put it in writing in an email to them before they would do it. Ramp was even worse. I had trouble with Binance US, and I have not tried to buy any for a couple of weeks now since the SEC debacle, but then my bank may have changed that also. But MoonPay never gave me any problems. I wonder if that might be because MoonPay does a whole lot of things other than crypto as a payment system. So maybe they aren't flagged yet, but that's pure speculation on my part.
Yeah, it is possible. What do you think, Rocket? I don't know if Rocket came up there to contribute to that part.
How are you?
How you doing?
Good.
Oh, you're broken up a little there, buddy.
Oh yeah, my connection's go here. How's everybody doing?
Doing good. Doing good. Yeah, you kind of sound like you're really, really far in the background, but we can still hear you.
Rocket, are you underwater swimming?
I try to be whenever I'm on the call.
Right on. Big B, go ahead. Big B, go ahead if you want to chime in. That's how you get your hand up. I'm going to bring up Cody here. Cody, how are you doing? Been a few weeks.
Hey, Steve, I'm doing good. Thank you so much. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Thanks for being here today. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you hear me okay?
Oh, yeah. You're clear.
I've decided to stay right on top of the router this time.
Right on.
Hey, you mentioned something earlier. Were you referring to Transact? Is that what you're referring to?
No, the one I went through was, what was it called? It sounded like Mercurio. That's it.
Yeah, Mercurio, Transact, couple of popular ones there.
Yeah, so I think the last time I bought through the option on the EverGrow site where you go to Lucro and you can go ahead and pancake swap it, and actually no, it was the purchase of BNB initially through the naughty boys at Trust Wallet. I think I had like 2 options only. Oh no, 3, and Mercurio ended up being the cheapest. And it's funny because MoonPay wasn't even on there.
Yeah, I've used a lot of them over the year, and over the past 2 years that have populated in Trust Wallet and then been removed,
Right.
like you mentioned.
Yeah.
Moon, Simplex. There was that one that was, maybe it's still there, BNB, or it was directly through like them, BSC or BNB. I don't remember what it was called. Yeah, I mean, all the KYC stuff is usually the same, though. If you've never used it, driver's license or picture of yourself.
Right.
Nothing
Yeah, that makes sense.
out of ordinary.
Yeah, you bet. Have you heard of this before, where banks are kind of dialing up the anti-fraud or something like that, or they're just preventing people from buying their from using Simplex and all that stuff, kind of like Big B was saying initially. I don't know if you heard that part.
Yeah, I've run into it in various forms, not just with crypto, but I mean, at the beginning and the end of the day, we have to remember that a card, whether it be a debit or a credit card, is going to be subject to fraud protections, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some examples could be like MasterCard, right? I had a MasterCard at one time, and every time I would make a purchase, it would be a text message to confirm it was really me, which is good, but obviously there can be some hindrances there. So, I mean, those kind of things can happen. And then you have the situation of regionally where you are, your state, your region or country, I mean, a number of different factors at play. But yeah, maybe banks, maybe credit card companies, maybe they're stepping up different forms of protection, fraud protection type stuff. So
Right.
maybe people are experiencing these things a little bit more, these speed bumps, that is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we have to find out which banks are the most crypto friendly. I think that's going to be useful.
Agreed. My problem was any foreign transaction was denied, and Simplex is in Liechtenstein, I believe it is, or one of those countries over there, and that automatically was a red flag and stopped the transactions.
If I may, really quick, I just want to say that word because it sounds cool. Liechtenstein.
That's funny. Yeah, it's actually funny because I went through my last purchase. I used a credit union, and the initial purchase was denied, and it was a very generic reason. It said, maybe the wrong number, wrong expiration, wrong CVV code, CCV code. So I tried it again, and it was denied again. And then maybe like 5 minutes later, I get a text message, or no, an email saying from the credit union, did you actually authorize these two transactions? Sorry, it was a text message. And I just replied yes, and it said, okay, well, those have been declined, but go ahead and try again. And so I did, and it went through right away.
Yeah, there it is right there, fraud protection.
Yeah. So CWP, when you said you basically were able to toggle that off, did you actually have to talk to the bank, or did you go through?
I had to talk to bookkeeping at the bank.
Gotcha.
I'm wondering if banks that are totally online will be any different than brick and mortar banks.
Yeah, it's different. I deal with USAA, and I've never had any issue with them at all. They usually will send me a message, and I'll confirm it within the app, and that I made this purchase, and the I think it was Simplex or MoonPay will kind of remain running in the background on Trust Wallet, and then as soon as I approve it, then it goes through.
Just for what it's worth, I opened my Trust Wallet up to buy BNB just to see what was up, and Mercurio,
Mm-hmm.
Ramp, Transact, and Simplex are all showing. But I would never, ever, ever deal with Ramp again.
Really that bad, huh?
They were just a disaster.
Really wow. Has anybody here tried the off-ramp capabilities of within Trust Wallet yet? I'm curious to know.
No, I have not.
That's pretty brand new. It's only within the last maybe 4 to 6 weeks, if my memory serves me. And so it's interesting, the timing.
Yeah, I remember it popping up just like you said about a month ago, and we were all like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah,
there it is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's okay. I mean, I still think we're going to be able to do it better anyway. So I'm not really too concerned. So
yeah, I'm not worried about it.
Exactly. So yeah, we'll keep rolling into the space if you guys are cool with that. Just give a warm welcome, Paul, our general manager. Thank you for being here so much. Appreciate it. And of course, Cody Black, project manager, and Rocket, the seal and working really hard with Cody on LunaSky NFT V2. Hopefully one day you'll never have to say V2 again. It'll just be LunaSky.
Oh my God, yes, please.
Can't wait, huh?
There will be a live stream, a personal live stream of me absolutely obliterating the beta live.
Burned to the ground, huh?
It'll be all of us. We will be live streaming globally and just destroying the beta
Right.
with smiles and lots of admiration, and just everybody's welcome to come by and throw an egg or a cabbage.
There you go.
Tomato,
I want a
whatever they
video,
want.
Cody. I want a video of you out dancing in the middle of the street celebrating.
Deal. That's a deal.
Right on. Christopher, I know you came up here just a few minutes ago. Did you have something you wanted to say?
Yes, I have to ask something. This is going to Paul and to Cody. Hi, at first, I have, before I ask my question, I inform I had this week 7 interviews at 7 different companies.
Wow, congratulations.
Yeah. I still search. I don't say congratulations. I did not get the job. I had only interviews. Yes, after this was happened 2 months ago, the claim is now ready and will be filed to a court in London. Yes, for what happened. There is an intermediary at first to involve, and then in this moment, automatically it goes to court if it cannot be resolved. Reason, defamation, because I had a disciplinary hearing with untrue allegations, and then I was dismissed. But okay, but now back to the questions. Also, I had 7 interviews, I mentioned only. Okay, back to the question. Paul and Cody, I have a question. I watch every day Facebook. They look always after the what everybody writes about EverGrow. And today I saw from a profile, EverGrow fam, or from EverGrow, the following posting, yes, about LunaSky. It is mentioned 2 audits are necessary. My question, is this the last audits before the release is, and then after the audits is the release? And furthermore, how long will the audits take? Thank you, and this was everything, and I wish you good week. Bye-bye.
Yeah, hey Christopher, always great to hear from you, my friend. I'm wishing you the best of luck with your interviews. To your question, yeah, to your question, slight correction there. That was in reference to EverGrow's staking. So there'll be a couple of audits with the staking contract. So what you're referencing is the post from the EverGrow official page, which talked about, I made that tweet actually, which talked about where we are with the staking build. And yeah, there'll be 2 audits. There'll be an audit internally on the dev side, and then there'll be an external audit, maybe even more than 1 external audit, CerTic, etc. So yeah, that's all.
How long will it take so directly? What do you think? How much time will it take? I think, if I'm correct, until end of June is end of quarter 2. The LunaSky will be released, and this other is, you said, the staking. The question is in this moment, how long will it take to, how long takes the audit? It is after the audit release.
That's a good question. Auditing timeframes can vary. I mean, I've seen audits come back less than a week. I've seen them come back in 3 weeks. So the goal will be to get it done as quick as possible, because with staking, we want to be able to put that out ASAP. Our contract with the devs for staking does have a specific time frame for completion. Obviously, I'm not going to disclose what that is, because I don't want to put ourselves in a rock and a hard place, or make the mistake of talking about set times like we have before. But yeah, I mean, it can vary. Just it depends, Christopher. Like I said, I've seen it be a week. I've seen it be 3. Usually not too terribly long.
Cody and Paul, both I would like to make aware, yes. Last week I posted this to EverGrow Steve, yes, under his last posting for the meeting. The European Union and the MiCA directive, yes, it does not apply for does not apply for DeFi coins like EverGrow. However, about wallets is here the topic in this press report, especially that wallet provider must verify the customer ID of people. Also, you can say, I know your customer procedure. Are you aware of this? Or is there a way to go around that it is not needed? Because I would say Atlas Wallet shall have the possibility to be anonymous. I don't like this watching and communist system, what they're having in the EU.
That's Sam. Sam deals with the regulations and everything that has to deal with around the world. I don't get too much into it. That's right up Sam's alley. But I can tell you, he spent his life with, regulations, especially in Europe. So whatever we have to do to make sure it's available, all throughout Europe, we will. And like I said, with wallets, you go through the App Store and you go through Android. It's really just about what they, they come back and say, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that. However, the the provider that we're using right now has put through, I think, 3 other wallets through the Apple Store with no problem at all. So that's one of the reasons why we chose this company to work with, because they put other wallets through the App Store very fast to have any problems. So I don't anticipate there being any problems with the Europe, but with getting into each country and everything, I let Sam deal with that. He's over there, and he knows more about it than I do. So I'm not going to act like I know what I'm talking about.
It's funny. I read that poster that you and it said, yes, you're correct, that MiCA is basically DeFi is exempt. So it would be kind of a contradiction, because if you were to say, okay, well, DeFi is exempt, but DeFi wallets are not, then you can't have one without the other. So I think the DeFi wallets are exempt from MiCA, and it's the centralized exchanges where they have to have the KYC. To my knowledge, that's how I read it.
It's only a question of time.
Exactly.
I tell you honestly. In the past, it was so. Yes, I'm sure you know the nice number account. Yes, anonymous bank account, and only 3 people in the bank knew who it was, and they could use this account when they contacted one of the 3 people in the bank. So this is with the wallet now back. This was abolished already before any crypto came. Yes, Swift and such things.
Right.
Now, in the wallet, it came back, and they want again to kick it away under, in my opinion, wrong reasons. I would like to see the politicians, and when they have to verify, yes, their ID, I would like to see the wallets from some politicians and would like to expose them. Yeah, it would be very interesting maybe to know what a Mr. Biden, or maybe a nice Mr. Putin, or a Mrs. Mrs. Baerbock, German foreign minister, has possibly saved in this public. Yes, because they hate rich people, and on the other side, they are rich by themselves. Yeah? The best fascist is a socialist. I tell you this honestly. The difference is only between the right extremist and the socialist is in this moment. The socialist lies and tells, so is it not, and does the same, and the right extremist is honest and says immediately what he wants.
Yeah, I don't know how to respond to that. So
that was a lot of words.
Yeah.
I can tell you this, and we can move on from this after this. Usually, when you're dealing with the third-party banking partners, depending on which country you're in, is depending on how much KYC you have to do. So right now we have Transact, Mercurio, Alchemy Pay, and Simplex. Each one has a KYC. Depending on where you are in the world will depend on what comes up on your phone when you try to, buy a crypto, or whether you can withdraw. So all depends on where you are. If it's not available in your country, it won't pop up when you use Atlas Wallet. The same as use any other wallet. If you're in a country, it just doesn't pop up that you're not available. So
yeah, it makes a lot of sense, because obviously you want to be in line with the local laws or the federal laws that apply to you, right? So those companies are not going to be a payment provider and skip over the KYC if it's required. So yeah, we'll leave it at that, and we'll just keep moving on if that's okay, Christopher. We got a lot to cover.
I would like to say really quick to just Christopher before he leaves. I've been practicing a little. Danke, Freund, guten Tag. Have a great day. Take care.
Wow. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for being here. Like I said, I see some new people in the space, so I'll just go ahead and give them a very warm welcome. If you guys aren't really familiar, I'm EverGrow Steve. We cover EverGrow here on Twitter and a space every week on Saturdays, and we talk about the updates that are going on, some recent news, things like that. Crypto scams. We try to keep everybody informed of what's going on in the project, because we know you don't have time necessarily to read all the tweets every single day. You may not necessarily have time to be in Discord or in Facebook or Telegram. So that's why we do these things every week, just to keep people in the loop and everything. So I want to give you guys a very, very warm welcome. Like I said, I'm EverGrow Steve. I usually start in the space with some news, and there's actually been some big news this week. Let's start with the one that seems to be the most consequential for crypto in general, and that was an article from Reuters. I don't know how to pronounce the names, Branjarud Kaur and Akansha Kushi. The article states, Binance and the SEC strike a deal to keep U.S. customer assets in the country. So this was on June 17th. Binance, the world's largest cryptocurrency exchange, and Binance.us have entered into an agreement with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission to ensure that U.S. customers' assets remain in the United States until a sweeping lawsuit filed this month by the regulatory agency is resolved. The agreement, disclosed in court papers filed late on Friday, still requires the approval of the federal judge overseeing the litigation. To make certain that the U.S. customers' assets do not go offshore, the agreement allows only Binance.us employees to access these assets. The SEC on June 5th sued Binance, its CEO and founder, Changpeng Zhao, and Binance.us operator, alleging that Binance artificially inflated its trading volumes, diverted customer funds, failed to restrict U.S. customers from its platform, and misled investors about its market surveillance controls. The suit, and one filed by the SEC the following day against the major U.S. exchange Coinbase, represents a dramatic escalation of a crackdown on the industry by U.S. regulators. Under the agreement, which does not resolve the SEC lawsuit, Binance.us will take steps to make sure that no Binance holding officials have access to private keys for its various wallets, hardware wallets, or root access to Binance.us Amazon Web Service tools, the court filing showed. The SEC said that in a statement released on Saturday that the emergency relief order secured for Binance.us customers will protect their assets and ensure that they can continue to withdraw those assets. And quoted, given that Changpeng Zhao and Binance have control over the platform's customers' assets and have been able to commingle customer assets or divert customer assets as they please, these prohibitions are essential to protecting the investors' assets, Gubir Grewal, director of the SEC's Enforcement Division, said in the statement. That's not the whole article, but you can go ahead and find it on Reuters if you are interested. I thought it was really interesting because they made a couple of accusations within that statement, and it'll be interesting to see how it all kind of plays out. But the markets liked it. I think I saw 4 to 6% up on Binance, which is good. Whenever a token that is paired to BNB, let's just say it goes up by 5%, you'll notice that the other pairings within that asset area, such as in our case EverGrow Lucro, will also go up. It works the other way around too. So unfortunately, when Binance goes down, we go down. That doesn't mean it's always like that because, for instance, if we have really good news, we can actually break away and Binance could be down and we can be up. So it's just kind of how it works. If you guys want to comment about that, by all means, interject. The next one was really interesting. It's about Blackrock. So Blackrock, this article says, may have found a way to get the SEC approval for spot Bitcoin ETF. So BlackRock's and BLK iShares Bitcoin Trust application to the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission this week might stand a better chance than previous attempts by other fund managers, thanks to its promise of a surveillance sharing agreement between the exchanges. On page 36 of the NASDAQ, where the proposed ETF will be listed, 19B-4 filing, it stated that to mitigate against market manipulation, NASDAQ will be brought enter into surveillance sharing agreement with an operator of a spot trading platform for Bitcoin BTC. Surveillance sharing agreements allow for the sharing of information about market trading activity, clearing activity, and customer identification, allowing for little possibility of market manipulation. NASDAQ proposed a surveillance sharing agreement dubbed the Spot BTC SSA is what makes the application different and not simply the company's size as the largest asset manager in the world, said Graham Moore, head of tokenization, Polymesh Association. The SEC is very concerned with market manipulation related to Bitcoin prices and has cited this in almost, if not all, previous rejections, Moore said in the email statement. This is because the SEC's view is that Coinbase and others are not regulated as exchanges and therefore cannot be trusted to prevent fraudulent and manipulative acts and practices. However, industry veteran Dave Weisenberg, CEO and co-founder of CoinRoutes, countered with any such surveillance sharing agreement is superfluous. It's quoted as, "Why should it be necessary?" Weisberg said in the interview with CoinDesk, because Kraken, Coinbase, Itbit, LMAX, and Bitstamp, all of their data feeds are public, he said. The SEC could clearly get all this data or hire somebody to feed it to them. You can now you can know every trade and every order that will give SEC the ability to say, hey, this looks like a manipulative trade. So who did it? The SEC has previously highlighted the importance of a surveillance insurance agreement in a notice on January regarding CBOE digital request to list and trade shares of ARC 21 shares Bitcoin ETF. Agency officials said that an exchange that lists Bitcoin-based ETFs can meet its obligation under the Exchange Act section by demonstrating that the exchange has a comprehensive surveillance sharing agreement with a regulated market of significant size related to the underlying or reference Bitcoin asset. BlackCoin iShares filed paperwork with the SEC on Thursday afternoon for the formation of a spot Bitcoin ETF. The move comes after several other ETF proposals, including those from Grayscale, VanEck, and WisdomTree, had been previously rejected. So if you're not familiar from BlackRock, this is kind of a Wikipedia exempt of it. BlackRock Inc. is an American national investment company based in New York City. They were founded in 1988, initially as an enterprise risk management and fixed income institutional asset manager. BlackRock is the world's largest asset manager with $8.59 trillion in assets under management as of December 31st, 2022. To give you an idea of size, the size of the U.S. economy is measured in GDP, or gross domestic product. In 2022, the U.S. economy was estimated at about $25.46 trillion. BlackRock assets were 33% of the U.S. economy. So that just gives you an idea of how much size they are. So BlackRock entering into the crypto space with BTC ETF, it absolutely cannot be understated. This is they're in it to make business and to make money, and clearly they see an opportunity in the space. So let me take you back, because a lot has happened over the years, right? Here's an excerpt of a few interviews with the CEO Larry Fink of BlackRock, and this was covered in MarketWatch's publication on June 16th, I believe. Francis Yu was the author, Nicole and Pesci. So back in 2017, Fink said, "The rapid ascent of cryptocurrencies," in quotes, "identifies how much money laundering there is to be done in the world." And also in quotes, "I'm a big believer in the potential of what cryptocurrencies can do," Fink said in a few years during a Bloomberg interview with the BlackRock Fixed Income ETF conference in New York. He also said that there was huge opportunities, but that presently the atmosphere around Bitcoin was more speculative. So let's jump ahead a year now, from 2017 to 2018. During the aforementioned interview with Bloomberg, Fink said that BlackRock was looking at blockchain technologies and added, "But I don't believe any clients have sought out crypto exposure." Quoted again, "I have not heard from any one client that they're looking to buy cryptocurrency," he famously said at that time. And there was a video clip on this too, in the interview that was done on Friday following the news of BlackRock filing Bitcoin ETF. But then, fast forward a couple years, in 2020, Fink said that while Bitcoin markets were still relatively small compared to other markets, it was possible that they could evolve into a global market. Quoted, "Bitcoin has caught the attention and imagination of many people, still untested, pretty small markets relative to the other markets," he said. "You see these big giant moves every day in Bitcoin. That's a thin market. Can it evolve into a global market? Possibly," he added. Then in 2021, BlackRock filed to offer client exposure to Bitcoin futures and an eligible investment to two of its funds through two funds. In the same year, Fink said in a CNBC interview that there was a huge role for digital currency, whether it was Bitcoin or something else, or more government official digital currency or digital dollar. Then, by March 2022, it seemed that BlackRock's clients were definitely interested in crypto. Fink wrote in a letter to shareholders that BlackRock was studying digital currencies, stablecoins, and the underlying technology as the firm had seen increased interest from its clients. What's more, Fink added that Russia-Ukraine war could accelerate the use of digital currencies. A few months later, in August 2022, BlackRock said it was partnering with Coinbase to offer direct access to Bitcoin to some of its institutional clients. Common clients of Coinbase and BlackRock's investment management portfolio, Aladdin, would get access to crypto trading, custody, prime brokerage, and reporting capabilities. In that same month, BlackRock said it was launching a spot Bitcoin private trust for institutional investors in the United States. And then by 2022, November, the Circle said it would be moving its reserves for USDC stablecoin into a dedicated fund set up by BlackRock and registered within the U.S. Securities Exchange Commission. So here we have a span of 5 to 6 years, right? BlackRock went from saying Bitcoin was interesting technology, but Bitcoin was too speculative, to where we're looking at it. None of our clients are asking for it. Now we're operating a Bitcoin ETF through some of its funds, and now they're filing to register Bitcoin ETF. It's a big shift in mindset, and clearly, I think they see opportunity here. So how does that affect us in the DeFi space? Well, it's pretty simple. More adoption of crypto means, well, more awareness. So we've seen this kind of trickle-down effect that happens when we see a swing from bearish to bullish, and it's usually Bitcoin and ETH that usually see the lead and a move up and down, and altcoins tend to really follow. So keep in mind, we're also dealing with Bitcoin halving coming up on the horizon, so we may see some really interesting movement. If any of you guys want to comment to that, or jump into that, I thought it was really interesting because we've seen kind of a real pivotal shift. BlackRock means business; they're in it to make money, and them getting into the space, I think, is a really good thing. All right. So yeah, let's see. Yeah, last week we were talking about SEC with targeting Binance and Coinbase, so we've seen a little bit of recovery. The market did take a pretty big hit. There's been kind of a slow and steady recovery thanks to, obviously what happened recently. So it's interesting, I looked at it and said 100 USD could buy you a little over 2.5 billion EGC, and at all-time high, that same amount was worth about $8,200. So it's kind of just give you an idea of just how much has changed, right? In the in bearish sentiment in the last couple of years. All right, let's get into the news for EverGrow. So Sam and Paul have been kind of sharing some updates on Twitter. Both Sam and Paul have been answering community questions related to how well-funded EGC is and how Atlas Wallet is progressing. So we'll dig into Sam's tweets first. He actually provided a financial update. So he said, this was just a few days ago, I think, if you're holding a token, it is essential to know that they are adequately funded, particularly in markets where there is low volume and little opportunity to raise more funds. I would implore all project leaders to share their financial position with their holders so holders can make an informed decision. EverGrow is currently sitting on $1.857 million worth of various tokens assigned to its marketing, development, and operation. The breakdown is as follows. The master marketing wallet, which he actually gave the wallet address, and they currently is $440,000 worth of BNB in there, an additional $140,000 in BUSD in there. Then there's the LunaSky wallet, a total of $805,000 in BUSD, $125,000 in USDT, and $87,000 in EGC. The Petty Cash wallet, also addresses were provided for all those. BUSD $175,000 and EGC $85,000. He also said we do have some large expenses coming up related to several ongoing developments, but will remain well funded after all current utility bills are finished and paid for. So if you're wondering about the fiscal health of the project, as you can see, EverGrow is well funded and we can weather the market. Absolutely. I think it was really, really important that he put that out there. Cody also put out a tweet. Basically, where are things in general, right? LunaSky build in Overdrive, Atlas Wallet build in Overdrive, EGC staking build in Overdrive, LunaSky Gaming in Overdrive, additional builds, contracts agreed upon, builds starts soon. A small overview of currently what's going on there. Busy times. I don't know, Cody, if you want to add to that at all.
I actually want to make a correction there. I misspoke earlier, specifically to number 5.
Okay.
Additional builds. One, wink, wink, of the additional builds is actually started. I didn't realize it. I just said additional builds starting. So one of them is actually started.
Okay.
But I'll leave it at that.
Good. So you said build starting too, but some actually have started.
Yeah, there's some additional things. Obviously, the public is not aware of. We spoke about that before. One of them actually has started this week. So
great.
But yeah, which is pretty cool, fun stuff. Everything else I'd mentioned, numbers 1 through 4, yes, they're in full force overdrive.
Awesome.
Obviously. So yeah, they're going really well. Rocket and I do the LunaSky stuff and the staking things as well. Paul and Sam, as you know, do the Atlas stuff along with their team that help testing, which includes a lot of the mods and admins. You see some of them here, like Hyper and Hawkish and Drake and several others, Zelda, etc. Steve, you as well.
Mm-hmm.
EGC fam, of course, a number of folks. So yeah, everything that is in overdrive, it truly is an overdrive. So it's like every day, lots of meetings, lots of work, lots of testing, lots of ongoing progress.
We'll really appreciate it. And let's see here. Actually, Christopher brought this up here. He talked about EverGrow staking. So the one tweet as well. I think, was it Paul that said this one? EverGrow staking build is coming along beautifully, or maybe it was Sam. It will be on. Pardon?
That was me.
Oh,
Sorry
good.
to interrupt you.
Thank you.
Go ahead. So sorry.
So it'll be on the first page of the website, which is great. Great attention, great exposure. Very simple and intuitive. Contract has been tested, design complete, and being built. And number 3, 2 independent audits. Why 2 independent audits?
Yeah, good question. That was me, actually. I made that tweet earlier.
Thank you.
On the official page. Yeah, well, the developers will have an internal audit on their side from a specific company they work with, and then we will have an external audit unrelated and to the developer's audit, which is important. We may even do more than just one externally. The staking contract needs to be obviously highly secure. It's extremely important that it is just audited and ensured that it is protected to the T. So yeah, that's why.
Awesome.
They'll do their own internal. We'll do an external, maybe more than one external. We'll see.
Yeah, you can't over audit that. I mean,
yeah,
the redundancy is important.
Exactly, 100%. But that's coming along really well. Like the tweet said, the designs had been completed over a week ago. So what that means is they go to the developer who incorporates those into the contract. So we got to meet. We have a meeting every week. Rocket and I meet with them every week with the staking stuff. This week's staking meeting was just, hey, the designs look great. We're good with that. Let's talk about the contract. So the developer talked about incorporating those designs into the contract. He even sent us a video. What was that, today, Rocket, or yesterday? Of just that.
Yesterday, I think, right? Was it yesterday?
Yeah, like a really cool video of the design being built and coded in real time. We got to see from Photoshop to obviously the platform and the test build environment. So it was really neat to see him building that and then actually testing it, which is really cool. They've been testing the contract for several weeks. The contract was finished pretty quickly. It was one of the first, it was finished before the designs were finished. So they've been testing that contract for quite some time, but it was great to actually watch a video of him build the design and the contract and connect it to the contract right there. It was pretty cool, and then test it at the same time. Pretty neat.
Yeah.
So that's coming along well.
Awesome. The just a comment here. So Pepe DeRue said, "Hey fam, thanks for the great space everywhere, Steve. I just want to say I love the I have and I want on Atlas Wallet." Yeah, no, that's awesome. It's cool. I know Paul had talked about that in the past. Very, very cool. One thing I did notice on the official EverGrow Twitter page was between the EverGrow name and the verified check, there's a shield emoji. Something I haven't really noticed there before. Is that just for fun, or is there a political significance? Not political, but a significance to that?
Good question. If I told you, I may have to take you into the back room.
Right on. I love it. I think it looks great, though. I know a few weeks ago.
I'll let Sam answer that. I'm not going to spoil that.
Okay, sounds good.
Maybe you can get it out of him. You're pretty good at that. Maybe you can get it out of him. If you ask Paul, I don't think it's fair. You'll definitely get it out of him. Just do me a solid, do Rocket a solid. Wait and ask Sam.
Okay. Yeah, it was interesting because, a couple weeks back, actually, there was a tweet that said, shields up and stuff like that. I was like, okay, all right. So, obviously, you can interpret that many different ways, right? Hey, we're getting ready. This is, we're being serious now. Like, this is either we're heading into, something significant here, right? So I'll wait for Sam maybe to comment on it. So
I like it.
Yeah. So
I would say don't look too deeply into it, though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Don't look too deeply into it.
Sounds good. We actually
solid advice.
There you go. Last week, Robert Glenn asked about the decision, actually, in the spacer to lower the tax from 14 to 5%, and wondered if the move was premature. I posed this question on Twitter, and Sam actually responded very a short time later. A lot of people, come in and they FUD and they say, "Oh, Sam's never answers the hard questions." He goes, "I'll answer the questions." I mean, really, as long as you're respectful about it, you answer the questions. So he actually responded, "Yep." This was Sam. Yep, I heard the speculation and was about right. We had planned it for a while, and the timing did initially seem great. Meme coins were rocketing, and the tax seemed so 2021 these days. Obviously, the markets have tumbled since, which took the winds out of our sails, but 5% tax is still better than 14%. For me, we are not quite done with the evolution of our taxes, and a winking emoji. So that's a pretty big clue right here on the tax DGC. So what does it mean by that? How is the tax going to evolve? I mean, we can speculate all day. If you guys have any ideas, or I'm open to hear it. So we'll have to wait and see what that looks like, really. Keep in mind, though, everything the team does, there's a strategic significance behind it. So I'm obviously, what is that going to look like? I'm not too sure. We lost Paul here a little bit ago. I was hoping he was going to drop back in, but we'll go ahead and talk about Atlas Wallet. And so let's see here. EverGrow or Bust had tweeted on Sunday by tagging EverGrow Sam and said, "Can you please clarify, as there appears to be a bit of confusion on the Atlas release? Will fiat on and off ramp be available upon first release? Will we be able to off ramp directly to our bank accounts in the initial version? It's very important, a driving factor for a lot of people, and I want to clarify. Thanks." Since Paul is kind of the general manager and really quarterbacking Atlas Wallet, Paul offered some clarity to that question. Here's his response. "We have partnered with Transact, Mercurio, Alchemy Pay, and Simplex to start. For off-ramp purposes, it depends on what country you're in. We have been working with a new company that does off-ramp straight to your bank account, and they are turning their browser into a widget that we can use inside of Atlas Wallet. We've been working with them for months, but it's not an easy or fast process. We're trying to get it done as soon as possible, but we cannot promise when, in quotations. But you know me, I really want this fast." So yeah, it's really interesting to see just a little bit, kind of just how things go on behind the scenes. I see the passion really behind the project and all the different utilities, LunaSky and all that stuff. So, I hang around the spaces sometimes, in Discord, and most of the time it's pretty all business, and especially with the beta testing of Atlas Wallet. But occasionally, you see this human side of kind of what people are doing. They get frustrated with maybe how something's not working and working how they want it to. But I see just how hard everyone is pushing. So there's an enormous amount of optimism, sometimes frustration, but mostly I see how much passion people have to make this project the very, very best DeFi wallet we can make. But this goes for LunaSky too. There's some of the most diligent, hardworking people I've met. They're working so hard because they want to give you the very, very best products that can be delivered. Products that you will be proud of to not only use, but you want to share with everybody you know. So I could see how frustrating it can be for some people when they want a straight answer on things. When will the wallet be released? When will LunaSky be released? But keep in mind, we're not Apple. This is not a multi-billion-dollar organization with 100,000 employees and supply chains in the half million range. EverGrow is very small and lean, but do not underestimate the team. Really don't. So I really appreciate that people like Cody, you, and Rocket, and and Paul and Sam will actually actively answer questions. And it's kind of this double-edged sword, because they answer a question and then they get flooded for answering the question. I mean, you can't win, right? It's really tough. So as far as LunaSky updates, luckily we have the project manager for it here. One tweet he put out, the LunaSky build is in full force. We're approaching the Nexus. Everyone has been working nonstop to ensure its perfection. We cannot wait for you to experience it. Thank you everyone for your patience and continued support. You truly are the best community in DeFi. So if you guys have anything to want to add to that, by all means, but I totally agree with you. We do have the best community in DeFi.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to everyone verbally now that I have an opportunity to, and that's what I meant in that tweet. Sincerely, we really appreciate everyone that is positive, that is patient, that is supportive. It does mean a lot to us because, like Steve said, there's so many aspects to what's going on that you don't get an inside look to, right? You're not on the inside. You don't work for the companies, so you don't get to see those things. And I certainly can recognize how that's frustrating sometimes. I'm a consumer as well. I mean, I may work for this company, but I'm still a consumer at the end of the day for many different types of products that are developed by many different companies, right? So I can relate to that just on a human level. But sincerely, it means a lot to us for all of those that are patient, that are supportive. And it's not about blind hope and pipe dreams and shilling. Never had a problem being willing to debate, being willing to have tough conversations, you know? The only problem we'll ever have is when it comes down to just being disrespectful. Other than that, I'm more than happy to listen to your opinion, whether you agree or even sometimes more importantly, disagree with us. More than happy and encourage those types of conversations. I think that a lot of times um, having a mature debate gets lost behind the screens of the internet. You know what I mean by that?
Mm-hmm.
We're behind screens, we're on keyboards, and, you know, it's okay to not agree. It's okay to have a confrontation. It is not okay to do those things in a disrespectful and immature fashion.
Absolutely.
So as long as that never happens, I personally will always encourage someone to have a difference of opinion and share that with us. But again, a little bit of an echo chamber. Thank you so much to everyone for being so patient and for being supportive. You know, we don't need you to hype. We don't need you to shill, but it does mean a great deal to us personally that you take a moment to think about the fact that, well, I'm not on the inside. I know there's more going on than I'm really aware of. Until I have a real tangible reason to throw my hands up, you know, I will continue to do what I'm doing. Be kind, be respectful, etc. If you choose not to support us, that's okay too. There's nothing wrong with that. Just don't be disrespectful. That's all, you know. A little bit of a tangent. I'm sorry. I just wanted to say that. You know, again,
No,
thank you
please.
so
I'm
much
glad
to
you did.
everybody. Yeah. And with the build itself, like Steve, you know better than anybody now because you've seen the inside, what it's like. Steve, you're very involved with helping the wallet team test, you know, and that's a very different beast altogether when it comes to testing. You need a lot of people constantly doing that kind of thing. There are a bunch of you doing that. You're one of them. You've seen now what it's like on the inside of that stuff, you know, and there's so much that goes into these builds. And that's something that just is kind of lost on the surface to a lot of folks. We've spoke about this many times, no sense to kind of reiterate all of it, but you know, more or less just kind of gravitating towards the point that there's a ton going on under the surface that a lot of people don't take a moment to think may be going on, you know? So just
Exactly.
a reminder.
Yeah.
There's a lot happening, you know. The LunaSky build, I never in a million years realized how involved a marketplace is. Not only just a marketplace, but a marketplace with special and unique features. We could have built like a cookie cutter wireframe, you know? It could have been a template type thing with any of this stuff, a marketplace, a wallet, etc. But we didn't. You know, we've learned some tough lessons along the way. Obviously, from mistakes, the goal is to not repeat those types of things. You know, but this is just part of starting a business. You know, you don't go into doing anything being a master at it. You go into it, being a student, and you should remain being that student regardless of how far it goes. I've been a musician my entire life. I was a music teacher for a very long time before I got into the tech business. And when I say the tech business, I mean my day job, my professional career. I worked for corporate tech business. And before that, you know, I was a music teacher for a long time. And one of the best pieces of advice I ever got in my life was kind of in reference to being a musician. It was always be the student, you know. The greatest teacher is the student, you know. And I think that applies, you can apply that to anything and everything you do in life.
Absolutely.
You're
and you don't really know what
product
you know until you have to teach somebody.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and on the flip side of that too, people don't know what they don't know. And how would some people know things if you didn't share, you know, information with them, you didn't educate them, you didn't tell them, you know? So
100%.
like you said, you tell them, and sometimes it's maybe not what they want to hear. And hey, it may not be your ideal resolution, the answer, but that is the answer. You know, you have to accept that. You may not like it, and that's okay. You know, but yeah, there's a ton going on back there, and I assure you, just like Steve said, it is absolutely no stretch or exaggeration the fact that We basically live, eat, breathe this stuff every day to ensure that we give you exactly what you deserve, which is nothing less than the best product that we can. The great thing is we have several of those things coming up. We finally do, after all of this time, we finally have multiple things in build right now with developers that we have a fantastic relationship with. It took us this long to get here. LunaSky, look, I'll be straight with y'all. Some of y'all know this. I've said it before. It's not a secret. This is the third dev team with LunaSky. Okay. This is the third rendition of LunaSky, and it's the final one. And I know that, and I'm very happy and confident about that. The first developers that started building the first LunaSky, that was 1 year ago, y'all. And in hindsight, that doesn't seem like a long time when you think about it like that, or even say it out loud. It doesn't to me. I'm like, wow, it is kind of a long time ago, but it's not. 1 year ago started this whole process with LunaSky. First dev team, they started to build. It just wasn't happening. A little bit of lack of experience. They were great people, and we really enjoyed attempting to do that with them. But we learned a lot, and one of the things we learned is we need to take it to the next level, and that's what we did. We scrapped it. We got a new development company we hired, and they were a much more tenured company. We spoke about it at the time, and people still bring this up, and I'm like, well, we didn't say anything that isn't true. They were a very tenured company and have a lot of experience out in the development world. We come to learn, though, that doesn't always necessitate a great deal of experience in building something in the blockchain space, like an NFT marketplace. It's so niche, and it's so new. Even very, very tenured full stack developers across the board may be the best in their craft and the best at working for many different global companies. But when it comes to something very niche like this, it really does come down to the experience of it, So they built a beta, right? And we put it out, and it wasn't great, but we put it out and we did it, and we learned a lot of lessons from that. We moved forward from there, and we developed a really great relationship with a new dev company, and we've been with them ever since. And they're involved in a lot of our builds, and it's been really fantastic, and it's been the best experience we've had so far. Not just in a professional sense, but in a personal sense. It's been a fantastic experience, and I've learned, I think we all have, that both sides of that table are very important. You know what I mean? It's like,
yes,
yeah, having a professional relationship that is a quality, efficient, an honest relationship is very important. But at the same time, like if you personally are really just not meshing and connecting, that still can cause some that can lead to inhibitors, in that journey. So it's like, it's really great to think about how every time we have a meeting with them, I know personally we're all on the same page as well as professionally, and it's been really good.
that's so good to hear. I'm going to come back to that, but I just want to let everybody know, Paul reached out to me. He said something came up, and I had to go give everyone my apologies. No problem, Paul. I understand real life, get it. I appreciate you dropping in, though. To go back to what you were saying, it's so funny because you said, you're on the third dev team, right? And you like them. Like, they're good. Like, each one of them brought, the first two brought whatever they brought to the table, and you worked well with them. But you always have to come back to this point of, like, what's best for the project. You can like somebody and enjoy their work, and, you respect them and all that stuff. But if they aren't able to deliver what you need, there's so many people would just stick with it. Like, oh man, I don't want to start over again. I just want to, let's just stay with them. They're good guys. You guys made the hard decision that it speaks enormous volumes that you're saying, what, we just got to take it to the next level. They're not for us. And there's nothing against that. There's nothing wrong with that. That they did the best they could, but they just couldn't do what we needed them. And I think everybody should be really, really impressed with that, because it's hard. It's really hard.
Yeah, that's exactly right, and you're 100% on the money with that, because yeah, they were all great people, and they were all very smart people, and they were all very tenured in their skill sets. However, it just wasn't what we needed. It wasn't what you all deserve. That is why we had to move forward with it. And we get a lot of heat for it. But the reality is like, well, let's look at the other side of that table. What were we going to do? Were we going to just leave it as the beta forever? Absolutely not. We could not do that to y'all. We're very grateful for that beta. We learned a lot. We're very grateful for the team before that, for the version that you all never saw. We still keep in touch with all of these people. We do. We developed a friendship with them because you work so closely with them. and they understand. They know business is business, you know. But we're in a place now where it's this is it, and we know that, and that's why we don't have any anxieties or any worries about the time frame that has been invested in this. I know for the community that's hard because they're on the surface and they don't know what's really happening underneath that unless they're involved. But again, we don't have any anxieties or fears about it now. We know once it's out, and it's going to be great. And going forward, it's going to be exactly what everyone deserves and what we need as a company to build on. So yeah, very excited about that. That's a little bit of the back history, all about like what it has really gone on with LunaSky build. You know,
I really appreciate being candid because it's, you know, this is really, really important to the story of how this is all coming together.
Yeah, 100%. You don't just wake up like knowing how to do all this stuff, knowing that one team is the right team for you. It's a lot of trial and error in this space. And people don't get that either. They think, well, you don't know how to run a business. You don't know how to manage a project. I'm like, really? Well, do you have a certification in agile methodology? No. Did I at one time in my life? No. You know, it's like, well, okay. I mean, it's trial and error. This is such an infant space. Building in this space when I say infant, I mean infancy. Building in this space is still in its infancy. I mean, the whole thing is brand new. Just think about 5 years, 25 years, 50 years down the road. You know, it's like they'll be looking back and they'll be like, yeah, those were the Wild West days. Those were the early days.
Mm-hmm.
And those Wild West days don't last a year. They don't last 5 years. I mean, it takes a long time, you know? So, but yeah, things are really good. And I'm very happy and confident. I know the team is with, and anyone that's involved on the inside, Steve, yourself, you've seen it. I'm sure that you now understand more than ever, like, yeah, they're on the right path with the right people doing the right things. Now, the wallet dev team is different than the LunaSky dev team. You all know that. That's been no secret. The team that's helping with LunaSky is also a big company, and they are helping us with some other builds as well, some of which are ongoing and actually pretty far along. Hence my tweet earlier, right? So there's that. But yeah, man, it's, you know, I like being able to talk about this stuff because, you know, it's good to be candid. It's good for people to know these things, you know. These aren't excuses. These are just the realities, you know, of what's gone on. Like, hey, you want to know a little bit more about what you don't know so you can have a better perspective on like how things have really been? Well, here it is. I'll tell you. No problem.
You know, and in you know, a lot of other places would have just saved a lot of money, copied something that's already out there, and then tweak it a little bit in order to make it look like it's their own, right? But anybody who knows anything would be able to spot that a mile away. And then you get the heat of it's like, well, you really didn't, you know, what did you use the money on? Like, you know, you didn't actually do anything. All you did was copy and, you know, and change a few things up. You're building something from the ground up entirely new. And you know, it's, again, like we said in the last space, it's like, this isn't just about NFTs, you know, I mean, and you know, JPEGs. This is bigger than that. And I think if you can wrap your head around the fact that LunaSky NFT Marketplace isn't just about NFTs, then you can see a bigger picture and opportunities that might be out there, opportunities that that I don't even know about. Not that I'm on the inside, I don't know anything about what goes on there, but I do know that, you know, there's been a couple comments where, you know, there's things where companies have reached out and said, you know, hey, you're working on this. This is interesting. Let's talk further on this. And that's a big deal because, you know, there's a lot of people out there watching what we're doing right now. And, you know, are we on the radar of these big companies? Probably not, but we're on the radar of some. And there's these partnerships that will open up. And that's not just me kind of like, you know, trying to build it up to something that it's not. It's absolutely true. We'll just have to wait and see. Yeah,
exactly. We have to wait and see. You know, we'll get some things out. That'll be the solid foundation, the springboard to really be able to launch from now going forward. It took over a year and a half to get to this point, but now we as a company and as a community will truly be at the point where we actually have a solid foundation with realistic springboards to grow upon. And when I say springboards, I mean that means what it means. It's like you have this, and this utility that obviously serves a purpose for the volume and the revenue and the adoption of the project, right? And then, of course, to, like we've talked about in these spaces before, bring outside involvement into crypto, into EverGrow, to expand the reach, right, beyond what it is right now in the DeFi community. And that's the purpose.
Yeah, other companies that that not necessarily in crypto, and there's
right.
That just think of the partnership with Abstract, right? Their primary focus is on entertainment and education, but they saw the opportunity within the DeFi space, blockchain. How could this be different for us, right? And they saw, and I think because in a sense, EverGrow and Abstract kind of share similar values, and this isn't just a profit-making opportunity. This is something bigger, right? And I think other companies will start to see that why are we different? We're not just the typical crypto space token.
Yeah, absolutely. And if I may, just really quick, I'd like to circle back to maybe just like a fun fact about LunaSky, something cool that I've been wanting to leak to everyone the past couple of days, but I'm not going to leak it until it's like right. So hopefully here any time now I can do it is drum roll, literally, audio NFTs, y'all. It's totally happening. It's all good to go. Just doing some final testing with it to ensure everything is proper. When I say that, what I mean is different file types, everything from WAV and MP3 to AIFF, etc. Because being a musician myself and having a lot of friends who are musicians, we're all very interested to be able to create and put out audio NFTs.
Interesting.
I'm very, very proud to announce that it will be happening. And just doing some final testing on it now before I put out a little leak for you. I actually was so close to putting this out yesterday. I was like, it's not perfect yet. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to wait. So that's why you haven't heard much from me this week, really. I've just been so busy with this. It's like, but that was one little fun fact I wanted to tell y'all that, yeah, audio NFTs are a real thing that's happening at launch, and you'll be able to mint audio files, and it's really cool. You'll be able to put a thumbnail for it. Let's say if you have an album or it's just a song and you want to have a cover, whatever you want to do, really cool. Batch uploads, bulk uploads, as a lot of you are used to hearing that called, it is coming along really well too. We'll have some education for everyone in that regard. I'll give you just a quick synopsis of that if you like.
Sure, please.
Yeah, so like with batch uploads or bulk uploads, as a lot of you are familiar with that term, basically uploading the NFT metadata. There's a couple ways to do this. You can host the images for you, or you can self-host images. And this is common with this type of thing, bulk uploads. Anyone who's used OpenSea knows about this already. We spoke a long time ago about the JSON file, which will be used to host that metadata and do bulk uploads. But I'll give you a little insight on this stuff. So like hosting my images for me is what they will see on the platform if they select batch upload. They'll have two options. There will be an information tab there that explains things to them and essentially walks them right through it. Tells them to upload a folder, etc. It says they can use a service like Nifty to generate the JSON. It even has a guide that walks them through it there, right there on a little question mark on the site, like an information circle, Self-hosted images are similar. It's like provide a single JSON file containing your metadata. There's a little option there that shows you how to start that process, little things like that. So this is just a few of the small things that you can expect from it. Now, of course, we'll have some people say to us, well, that's normal. That should just be a thing already. Well, you're absolutely right. That is normal, and that should be a thing. And that's why it's going to be a thing for everybody. It wasn't a thing on the beta, and we wanted to make sure that it is on the regular launch because that's the standard. So, yeah, bulk uploads. We'll call them batch uploads, audio NFTs, a number of really cool features. You all have seen a leak a few weeks ago about the homepage, and it had this really cool carousel. That's Sam's baby right there, y'all. That carousel was entirely his design, his vision, And a lot went into that to function the way that he envisioned it. The leak that you all saw weeks ago, that was not the finalized version of that page, by the way, much less some of the pages you've seen. I did mention this previously. Remember, I was like, well, some of the leaks you all see are still being tweaked. They're still being worked on, so they're going to be subject to change, some visually, some functionally, some both. That carousel now is a little different than y'all remember. So is the homepage with some of the selections in the top. I say selections, if you remember, and you scroll back, you can see like LunaSky, maybe Explore, mystery boxes, etc. Some of those have been modified a little bit. So yeah, really cool stuff going on there. We're just really trying to tweak and sweep the porch off here before we say it's time. So yeah, a lot of fun stuff happening there.
Absolutely. Can we tell Sam about what his idea behind the carousel? Because it's a unique design, and I like it, and it's just interesting that what spoke to him about that he felt that it needed to be in there.
Yeah, he is happy to talk to you about it. It truly is his baby, dog, and he has spent a lot of time back and forth with all of us on it. So I know especially him will be very proud to explain to you how that all kind of came up and his thoughts behind it. He spoke about it in some of his tweets before. He's explained kind of in detail about the carousel, like the why behind it, those kind of things. So yeah, maybe get him in here maybe next time.
Yeah,
absolutely. Get him to go off about it a bit.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool. Very cool to hear.
Yeah.
I'm going to read a couple comments here. Denny, thanks so much for your comment. Very excited about all the utilities, but the EverGrow staking got me hyped. Really excited to see how this will be integrated. Absolutely, I'm the same way. I think on the main page, I think it's a great idea. And let's see, EverGrow Love, that's cool. I already own an audio NFT from LunaSky Beta. And Crep XYZ, professionalism, open communication, transparency. In my experience, this is the greatest community team I have ever been part of. EGC, 100%, completely agree.
Very, very kind. Very, very kind words. Mm-hmm. Thank you. I'll give you a little just quick synopsis too about the whole carousel from his perspective. Sure. I can speak to it briefly here. It's like, if you remember the tweet he made, this was, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago with a picture of it, one of the first pictures. Looks a little different now, but I pulled it back up here, so I'll kind of summarize it for you. Basically, let's see here. So essentially, he talks about how a simple carousel gives users full access to all the top NFTs and all the available categories in a single screen view. So in those categories, right, you can select top artists, trending NFTs, auctions, right, and top NFTs. And it's pretty cool because it's a carousel. It's circular. You can swipe left and right. You can click the arrows.
When you say top NFTs, do you mean like the best selling or?
Yeah, there'll be like KPI metrics,
Gotcha.
All that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, top selling, things like that. You got auctions ending soon, top NFTs, trending NFTs, top artists. Those things will include, obviously likes and follows and profiles and collections and NFTs, etc. So, but the carousel, yeah, it's just a very simple way to give users full access to all of the categories right there in one swipe. You can swipe left or right, and you will be on the tab. Let's say if I swiped left, it will be on the tab top artists, and then right there it'll show a box of 6 of the top artists at that time on the platform, etc. So yeah,
very cool. I cannot wait to see it.
He'll give you the insight about kind of how his vision for that came up. But yeah, that was totally him. So I
wonder if because he's a Tesla guy. Maybe there was like a Tesla, something in the Tesla build that maybe he's building. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think he's a Tesla guy. I don't know.
Oh, man, yeah. I just vision in my mind. Him swiping. That Tesla. Will it be a Model 3, a Model X?
Yeah. Exactly. That's probably how it went down. It's probably like in this car one day, it's like swiping on the screen. I guess that screen's a swipe screen. I'm going to assume it is and hope that it is. And it's like, wait a second. Carousel.
Yes, exactly.
Marketplace. Yes, light bulb moment,
Have you guys ever, I know we talked about this a long time ago. It's probably been the better part of, I don't know, maybe 8-10 months ago, or I'm not too sure, when we were talking about marketing and LunaSky with the EverGrow man and all that stuff. Have you guys actually seriously considered wrapping a Tesla and for advertising and, just kind of like driving it around and, and
That's a great question. I mean, no, I haven't considered it. Did you say wrapping it up like in wrapping paper?
No, it's like they're kind of like vinyl wraps, like they're
I
you know
know
what I
what you
mean? Like
mean.
you cover the
Yeah,
vehicle. You know what I'm talking about?
I was totally envisioning like a Tesla wrapped in Christmas paper,
Yeah, there you
and like
well, the
and
winner
videos of
could get
yeah,
one of those. So yeah,
yeah, and videos of Sam like saying, "Here it is.
yeah,
All
here's
we have to do is
exactly.
open it."
Yeah,
You know, like
I was just thinking for
um,
marketing. You know, like getting a Tesla. You could probably lease one, I imagine, and then you can just wrap it, and you know, and just
yeah,
who would I mean, who has the time? That's the thing. Who has the time to go from city to city and promote EGC in that way? I mean, that's exactly what you would need, right?
yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to do it, but you know, it's not something I can really spare my time right now.
Oh yeah, and
Go
this
ahead,
is such
CWP.
a fun thing. People have talked about that before. No, we've never like legitimately had that conversation, but I've seen that been brought up a few times.
Yeah, I imagine it would definitely get a lot of attention, especially if it was a really good quality wrap with good graphic and yeah. CWP, go ahead.
I just wanted to volunteer to drive that Tesla around all over
Yeah,
the country.
there you go.
You got first picks, my friend. If that happens, we will make sure you get the first ride, first drive.
Awesome.
Thank you, Cody. Cody, I have a question about LunaSky that I don't think I've ever heard discussed, and maybe you can't discuss it, but can you tell me what kinds of analytics will be included in the LunaSky?
Oh yeah, good question. I need to
Like
clarify
public
first.
analytics or like behind the
That's
current
what I was about
analytics.
to ask. Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to ask. I need you to clarify for me a little bit what you mean.
Both, actually. Like analytics for me as an NFT artist, or analytics for LunaSky in general, how it compares to the other platforms. Whatever is not a priority, or not a wrong word, a something that should be privy to LunaSky internal documents only, but what might be public?
Yeah, good question. So well, I guess I can't say all. Majority of marketplaces have what's called social analytics, right? We'll call them that. So every profile that's created on the platform is going to have social analytics. Those are going to include obviously your number of collections, your followers, your likes, your views, which I think is really cool. A category specific to LunaSky called LunaSky Rank, which will essentially have on the back end pulling all of those social metrics together, and that'll kind of give you the rank. Does the rank really mean anything? No, it's just for fun for you. So things like that will be the public social analytics. I mean, on the back end, of course, we'll have some analytics that help us to monitor and manage the platform. Those kind of things. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to get into detail about right now, but I may be able to do that at some point in the future. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I mean, obviously, if there's if a NFT, a particular maybe artist is really popular or something, obviously they're going to get so like trending what we have on beta right now. I think
Mhm.
that's very valuable. I tend to go with that trending quite a bit just because it's a lot of the new stuff that comes up, and I'll go ahead and post that to LunaSky Instagram.
Yeah, you're going to have that. There's a page. The Explore page is going to show additional, we're going to call them just social analytics. So any user can go and they can click on the filter there and they can select, will they want to look at just trending? Do they want to look at top selling? Do they want to look at just auctions? Do they want to look at, so there's going to be analytics that categorize and populate those types of things. I think that's important. We discussed it a lot and compared a lot of different platforms and decided on some specific categories there. So yeah, trending, top selling, auctions, buy now, those kind of
One of the things that I would love to see, Cody, is
things. Yeah,
when I
tell
have
me.
a buyer,
Mhm.
that I would like to know where that buyer came from. Uh, did they see it on Instagram, or did they see it on Twitter,
That's interesting.
or what led them? And the reason personally that I would like that is for the purpose of self-promotion. So if I'm getting and and, and otherwise, um, in general, where people are coming to LunaSky from, so that all of the artists can know that kind of information and know the best place to go promote their works.
That's a great point. I mean, we're talking about SEO analytics here,
Mm-hmm.
right? Search engine optimization, basically. So every website obviously should really focus on that kind of thing, LunaSky included, because it's a website. People, I think, don't realize that. They think it's like an application. I mean, it's a utility, but it's a website.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is. So true to any website, we're going to have obviously some SEO analytics on the back end for us. As far as the user goes, that is absolutely something I would love to be able to incorporate down the line. Yeah, and I think that that's a fantastic point for future additions to the build. Because remember, additions to the build are going to happen continually after launch. There is a list, and Rocket and myself are battling right now with our own personal lists together in our little battle arena of which ones are going to happen first. So I, CP, am absolutely adding that to my list, and I will credit you. Thank you.
That's a great
Thank
question.
you, Cody. Thank you.
It's a good point. No, I mean, jokes aside, it's a great point. It's a valid point, and I do agree with you. So I certainly think that could be something that should be incorporated after the launch at some point soon, not too far in the future. I don't know the technicals behind that and how difficult it would be for users to obtain any of those types of analytical data in regard to just like the, finding traffic driving keywords. Where did these people come from that found you in your collection or your NFT? But definitely worth exploring. So yeah, it's a great point, CWP.
If it were possible to do this, I know I could put Google Analytics on my own webpage. Maybe there might be some way that individual artists could have a Google Analytics for their section of LunaSky.
Yeah, it's very possible, and that's going to be the thing. Speaking to the developers about it, I'm confident they'll know some ways that could happen from the user level, right? So for each profile, so it's a good point. It kind of gets my wheels turning too about my own profile. Like, yeah, I think I would like to know too. Like, how did you find my profile? Was it just from LunaSky, or maybe was it from somewhere else? Did you see something I tweeted, and that took you there, led you there, that kind of thing?
It's really interesting because NFTs are we're just so used to talking about NFTs and just as if they're it's normal, right? But NFTs are so new, right? I think one statistic that I pulled up said that NFT sales in 2021 were right around 25 billion. And that was from 2021, it was around 95 billion or so. So you have to understand just how big it got and how obviously 2022 and 2023 is going to be different, but the estimate is that NFTs are going to be in the $80 billion range by 2025. I mean, just wrap your mind around that. That's over threefold, right? Or is that 25? Yeah, over threefold. So, a lot of people say, oh, it's just JPEGs, whatever like that. You got to think bigger than JPEGs when it comes to NFTs. And what do people do? They go to NFT marketplaces to buy those NFTs.
That's right. I mean, JPEGs is, how it all started. This is not the evolution of NFTs, y'all. It is not. True digital ownership of document is the evolution of it, whether that be a deed, whether that be copyrights, to something, trademark rights. Who knows, I mean, how far that could go.
I know some artists have actually put their music on NFTs and basically opened up, to a whole new audience just by doing that.
That's exactly right. And I can remember some of these artists actually doing this years ago. I didn't know anything about this stuff at the time, blockchain or anything. I was like, oh, okay, well, I've heard of that. I don't know what that means, though. And then now you see this becoming more and more part of the adoption of it, to the point of, what we've talked about, ticketing, et cetera. I mean, the sky's really the limit with it.
And those are just what we know of in terms of options. Those are the kind of the obvious, right, in terms of NFTs. But even something simple as like you said, titles and ownership of land and things that are that just the common sense stuff that you would think about NFTs, but there's so much more. And I've heard people speak to it, and a lot of it's really above over my head. I don't understand how it applies, but a lot of people are in the space are really, really bullish on NFTs. So yeah, being the premier NFT marketplace is really where we want to be, and that's why I appreciate you guys taking the time to do what you need to do to get it right.
Yeah, thank you. Absolutely. And all the more reason for me to reiterate right here, right now, that LunaSky is not BNB exclusive. The purpose of LunaSky is not to be tied exclusively to BNB, right? The purpose of LunaSky is to be a place that projects from all chains can come, that wider adoption can come from outside of crypto, beyond JPEG. It's like that's the purpose. That's why we've spent so much time ensuring that the ETH community is welcome. The Poly community, the Avalanche Kronos community is welcome on LunaSky, and we want them to have a very friendly and easy experience. We want them to have a better experience if they come to that platform. That is the purpose. We don't want to be tunnelized. We don't want to be exclusive to the BSC community only. Think big, right? I mean, this isn't about that. This is about 5-10 years down the road.
I think being a crypto investor, we tend to, in general, be quite short-sighted, and we're looking for, very, very fast gains in general. So be able to look beyond the 6 months to, most people are like 6 weeks, right? But 6 months to a year to 2 years to 3 years to 5 years. How is the space going to evolve, and are we going to be able to evolve with that space? And I think that the hard work is really what we're doing right now. Is getting kind of like entrenched into it, building an NFT marketplace, building a DeFi wallet. These are not easy things. I mean, they're easy when they're done poorly, but when they're done well, I think they really, really offer us a lot of options for revenue in different ways.
Yeah, I agree. And again, humans are humans, and that's okay. I mean, this is just human nature. It's difficult to maintain attention on something for very, very long periods of times. It takes a lot of fortitude. It takes a lot of willpower.
Absolutely, yeah.
I don't know how long this term has been around, but you've heard me specifically say it, and we live in a microwave culture.
Yep, 100%.
Instant gratification.
Yeah.
That's a very difficult thing to to manage. I mean, just as a person in general, I deal with it. I'm a human being. I deal with it every day. Sometimes I want to be instantly gratified with the things that I am doing in my life. And sometimes I have to learn hard lessons that that's just not the way it works. And it's for my benefit that it doesn't work that way.
You bet. A couple more NFT facts that I pulled up here from Fortunely.com. The most valuable NFT is worth more than $91.8 million. The first NFT emerged in 2014. I mean, that's not even 10 years ago. The top 5 countries with the biggest NFT adoption are in Asia. Men are 3 times more likely than women to be NFT collectors. More than 70% of Americans don't know what an NFT is. An NFT meme sold for $4 million. $4 million for an NFT meme. 23% of millennials in the U.S. collect NFTs. The number of NFT art sales surpassed 1.5 million in a single month in 2021. Pretty fascinating. So, another thing I was going to remark on too,
That's not that much money, Steve.
In 1.5 in a month, yeah, in 2021, yeah. I wonder where they got that stat from. I'm not too sure.
That's just really not that much, is it?
Oh, you're breaking up a little bit, Cody.
Kidding. That's a ton of money.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like NFT art sales. So I wonder if that is like where was this? They didn't cite where it was that this was, but yeah, in 2021.
Still breaking up?
No, you're good now. No, you're good.
I was just making a joke. I was like, well, Steve, that's really not that much money after all. But of course, I was just being silly. That is a lot of money. Oh, gosh.
Yeah. One thing I was going to point out too, CWP, go ahead. You're going to chime in.
Okay. I just wanted to ask Cody another question. Since there are going to be different blockchains on LunaSky, can I buy any artist's work with BNB regardless of what they're selling it with? Or is that switching currency will have to be a function in the Atlas wallet?
Great question.
No, yeah, that is a great question. No, I mean, if the artist is selling an NFT for Ethereum, you've got to buy it with Ethereum. Yeah. Now, I will tell you this, and this is interesting. The artists can change at some point during their creation process if they want. But no, whatever they said ultimately after creating that collection and uploading those NFTs for the mint, you're buying it from what they said.
And the artist won't have the option to offer it in multiple currencies either, correct?
No. Yeah, it just doesn't work that way.
Is it because it's the function of the blockchain that it's made on?
Exactly. Yep.
Mm-hmm. It'd be fascinating if you could have, let's say, an NFT that offered 5 different payment options. You know, like ETH, BNB, you know, Solana, whatever it may be. Pick your currency and just buy it, right? But yeah, that'd be interesting.
It certainly would, and I'm sure some mad scientist out there is working on it.
Where's Rocket, by the way? Anyway.
Speaking of mad scientists,
Perfect.
where is he? Where is the technical manager when you need him?
That's funny. Yeah, you dropped in for a bit and then had to go. One thing I was going to mention about, you know, when we were talking about crypto and the microwave culture and all that, is that being where we are in the crypto space, I would say we're not normal. We have you know, I mean, there are great communities within crypto, for sure. I've seen a lot of them. I think it's also, we stand out in some ways for the better and sometimes for the worse, because people expect, being in DeFi and in crypto, that there's going to be this kind of moon culture, right? It's, you know, this you know, everything's going to rocket, it's going to go, and you know what I mean. And if it doesn't happen, you're doing something wrong. Have you noticed that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It just ties back to the instant gratification thing. I mean, we live in an age that we're used to instant gratification, a like, a comment, you know, a heart, a thumbs up. I mean, those are the things that, you know, we live in every day, and I believe that that really is what it all comes back to. Why we have those behavior types or even those traits now that
Right.
exist. We're you know, we live in a world of instant gratification every day.
Sam had put out a tweet a couple days ago where he showed like in a cartoon, a lineup of two people at lined up of people at 2 different windows, right? And it said BNB at like 200 and some, and BNB at like whatever it was, $600-800 or something like that. And the lineup at the larger sum of BNB was longer than the one when it was cheaper, right? And it's just that kind of the psychology when if something's cheap, it may not necessarily be as valuable, and where it's read, obviously, you know, you think of it, hey, this is an opportunity. You would think everybody would be lining up, right? Kind of like with, you know, with EverGrow and Lucro being cheap. Why do we not have people knocking down the doors buying, right? I mean, we do have, you know, some volume, but it's not like the volume that you would think it would be. But it's just that people have this perception, if the price is going up, you know, if it goes up 30, 40, 50, 60%, then people start buying. And I really, I guess I have a hard time understanding that.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's such an interesting thing, but don't you think it just kind of comes back to the age-old adage of supply and demand, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like you said, they see it moving up and they think, oh, I better get a piece of that.
Exactly.
They don't see it moving and they're like, oh, there's no demand for it. I don't want that. I don't need that.
Mm-hmm. Kind of like with cars. You know, remember when cars were like, you know, there's a particular model that was selling out really fast, and people were going to the dealerships. I want this car, and they're like, well, you get in line because, you know, sort of a bunch of other people, and you better just pay, you know, we'll get the financing done for you right now. You can buy it right now, but you won't see it for 6 months.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and people were throwing money at the dealerships for a car they couldn't drive today.
Psychology is so interesting. The older I have gotten, the more I find it really interesting. Just the psychology of things like that. It's like, well, that's what we're talking about here is the psychology behind why do people buy things when they're getting more and more expensive versus when before that happens and they're cheap, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Porsche did something really interesting in China where they had to raise their price of their models, right? And so they foresaw that by raising the rate, they knew they had to because they weren't going to make the money, necessarily the money that they wanted to on it. And I can't remember what was like 6 or 8% or 10%. It was a substantial increase, right? And they're like, we know we're going to lose money on this, right? Because obviously people aren't going to buy as much. It was the opposite effect. They raised the price and they sold more because people saw it as more desirable.
Yeah, it's so interesting. I bet Michael Garber would be a fantastic person to talk to about this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. If you wanted to come up, Michael, by all means. I know it's late for you if you're probably tired, but I'd love to have your opinion on it.
He could probably educate us all about the psychology behind this. Why.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I had a class in marketing many, many years ago in which I learned about the liquor wars in the United States. Everybody started competing, kind of like the gas stations did back when gas was 25 cents a gallon, trying to outdo the others on volume and drag people in because of low price. Smirnoff vodka, which was by vodka aficionados not considered a very good vodka, almost doubled their case price, while others were dropping their price, and their sales soared, and they became, for a while at least, the top selling vodka in the United States. That is the bizarre part of the psychology. One of the other things is, if you don't sweat blood for it, if it comes for free, it's of no value.
Right.
So the harder you have to work for it, the more value it is, which is totally absurd. And my old man's version of this instant gratification is what was called the MTV generation.
Oh. Interesting.
And that was when we started having all of the scenes going flick, 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 just changing rapidly. And along with that, then the news came into the 5-second news bites.
Right. Another interesting.
Oh, yeah. That's a good point. Yeah.
Another interesting study that was done. You guys are probably all familiar with Ray-Ban. So apparently the Ray-Ban sunglasses. So at one point, Luxottica is like a multinational company that basically owns all of the glasses market, right? And so they decided that Ray-Ban was this name, that everybody knew in America, and they were considered cool. They were going to use the movies and all that stuff, right? But eventually, they started, due to wanting to sell more volume, they started selling them in a lot of different marketplaces and even things like gas stations, right? And they actually saw decrease in sales significant because people viewed them as being cheap and not particularly valuable. Yeah. You've heard about this?
I have not heard about this, but it makes sense. Again, ties back to the whole, if it's easily accessible, then what makes it valuable, right? If it's hard to get, it's more expensive, that must mean it's worth more. I'm a piece of that pie.
Exactly.
So CWP, I have to say something too. You mentioned your old man's comment about the MTV generation. That makes a lot of sense. It makes me think about something my old man always said to me growing up, and I've lived and died by this ever since he instilled this in me when I was little. And I think it applies to everything we're talking about: crypto space, all of the builds we're doing, everything. He always said to me, things easily obtained or easier lost. And that was just something that I kind of just carried with me my whole life. I was like, yeah, I get it. He's telling me to work hard for things, don't give up, don't take shortcuts, etc. Spend the time earning it, and it is, it's better. So he always said, things easily obtained or easier lost.
Absolutely. Before I bring up Michael Garber, I just saw Habibi, aka EverGrow Pug. He looks like you've got to go to bed, so he says good night. Good night, friends. Time to sleep for me. Habibi, have a great sleep. Thank you so much for joining. I know it's very, very late for you. Thank you so much. Take care, Pug. Michael Garber, how you doing, man?
Hi, guys.
Thanks for coming up.
With my wife.
How's she doing? How's Mirko doing?
She's watching some movie on Netflix and listening your space. So basically, how things psychologically works. We love the word exclusive.
That's true.
So when something is expensive, it means exclusive, yeah? So our ego likes everything that's expensive, even you don't have the money, even you don't deserve that, but you have to feed your ego. So that's why banks have a lot of money, because I want a nice car, I want a nice trip to Bora Bora, whatever, but not with my money. I will use the credit card
Right.
because I want that exclusive things. I want to be the part of the, I don't know, the first 1% of the world. So it's something hard to achieve. I want it.
Cody, I think we should make LunaSky an exclusive NFT marketplace.
Yeah.
I believe that LunaSky will be an exclusive NFT marketplace. Yes.
Exactly. You will have to apply and probably pay a monthly fee to be on. What do you think?
There will only be 100 users allowed.
There we go. Can you imagine?
Oh my gosh. And there goes the project.
Yeah. Now, the exclusivity in LunaSky is obviously the artists, which have an amazing amount of talent, and that's to me what the exclusivity is in their
Gosh, I can't wait to see. You know, we spoke about audio. That included video, by the way, y'all. I didn't say that. I'm so sorry. Audio uploads for NFTs also includes video. So anyone who wants to upload video content and mint as an NFT will absolutely be able to do so. That is very important, and I miss saying that. Apologies.
Very interesting. Video NFT. Would there be a limit, time limit? Because, I mean, you could think of massive size for a video, right?
The beauty about that is no. And that's because the way the data is hosted.
Interesting. We'll have to get into that one day.
Yep. Yeah, we can get into IPFS one day.
Interesting stuff.
I have a wish for what LunaSky achieves. All of the NFT marketplaces that I am aware of are about buying and selling NFTs, flipping them, and making money. And the content of the NFT is irrelevant. I hope that LunaSky will somehow get people to focus on the artistic talent and the quality of the NFT.
I hope so too. I mean, there's a lot of hopes with LunaSky, and that is definitely one of them. You know, one thing too, and I don't want to go too far into this tangent, that I think is going to be a realization for people who have ever only exclusively used the beta, is the fact that the beta really doesn't function as a true marketplace. The full launch of LunaSky will function as a true marketplace. And what does that really mean? Well, it means a number of things. It's not just about functions like audio and video and bulk upload and things like that, but traditionally marketplaces are designed for projects to launch from. The beta platform was not designed that way. It's a beta. It was designed for individual users to upload NFTs. So anyone who has experience using a marketplace beyond the betas understands what I'm talking about right now. And those who have not, they may not be fully aware or understand what I'm kind of referencing here. But the good news is it will benefit them a great deal as well. To your point, CWP, for things just like that, more awareness on the artistic value of an individual user versus just a large project as well. There's a lot to talk about there and unpack, and we certainly will. There's also education that will be involved, I think, for people that have only ever used the beta, and that's, we're going to be there for y'all. But I did want to mention that because the purpose of that marketplace now is far more than what someone who's only used the beta is aware of.
It's hard to wrap, when you don't know what's behind the curtain, to know what it's capable of. And I think that is what's going to really excite people the most once they get to see what exactly it can do, and not just being NFTs. Sweetheart, that's good.
Yeah, absolutely. Again,
Noise
the
is coming right
platform
through.
is designed to be all
The spoon?
inclusive. to welcome all chains, to welcome projects for the first time, because on the beta, you can't be a project that has 1,000 NFTs. You can't. The beta is not designed for that. And it's a shame, but it just wasn't. But the great news is that won't be a thing very, very soon, you know? We'll be able to support and host and springboard large projects. We'll be able to support and focus awareness on artistic value for individual creators, you know, etc.
I think the question. I think the question is what kind of buyers we want. In my opinion, there are three types: those who want to buy an art NFT, who send a message; those who want an NFT with utilities. I don't know, some exclusive tickets to a concert or backstage or whatever; and those who are just flipping NFTs.
All of the above?
We want all of them, or
yeah, that's a good question. Go ahead, Cody.
A type.
I think that's a great point. I would say that we want all of them, absolutely.
You know,
the more people in the party, the bigger the income for EverGrow.
Right. You know, it was a while ago, actually. Rocket said he had to bounce because he's getting assaulted by children. But this was a few months ago now, he was making some really interesting NFTs that were changing. Every time they were bought, they would evolve into something different. And I thought it was a fascinating, I've never seen anything like that before. I'm sure he wasn't the first, but he did it in a very specific way. And so I think things like that are very, very attractive to collectors.
This is a good point, and for many reasons, not just because of of what that was and what he was doing, but because of what we were just talking about how the new LunaSky will be able to expand upon those types of things. There's going to be ways to do stuff like that on the new LunaSky that, again, users that are only used to the beta version won't be privy to until they start getting into the new version. They'll be able to do things like delay reveal with password. You know, I don't want to say too much, but there are going to be things that are going to be very new to them. They're going to be foreign. We're going to help educate them. But for those who have used places like OpenSea or Rarible and stuff, that will be the norm. You know, they already know about that stuff. So yeah, it will be a really fantastic time to explore and innovate new avenues of creation when it comes to art and beyond, right? Video, audio, ticketing, who knows, you know? So
even with gaming, the idea, I mean, I used to be into kind of massive multiplayer online games, and you would go around on quests and collect different things, and these large quests would be for an end goal of one particular thing, like whether it be a weapon or something or armor. NFTs can operate in the very same way. Like if you can collect a certain amount of them, maybe collectively they actually are more than the sum of their parts, kind of, as they say.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe you collect a specific number from a specific project on a specific whatever, and that actually unlocks another thing, or that gives you access to something, or that rewards you in some way. I mean, the possibilities are pretty infinite. Steve, were you a WoW player? Were you?
I was EverQuest, actually.
WoW? Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
played I never was big in playing video games, y'all, but all my friends, I like video games, don't get me wrong. I just was the guy who would hang out with all my friends when they played things like EverQuest, and all the way back in the 90s, the first thing in those like Unreal Tournament and stuff like that. So I did play EverQuest in very early days.
Looks like you're breaking up again there, Cody. Sorry.
The Kool-Aid and was like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
How about now?
Oh, there you are. There you are.
Still breaking up?
No, you're good.
Sorry about that. Yeah, so I actually played EverQuest for a very brief time, many years ago. But for me, I was more of a spectator. I would hang out with a lot of my friends while they would be doing their MMO thing, and I was just sitting in the background, like practicing my instruments, and stuff like that. And they would always, their friends online would think, "What's that noise?" I said, "Oh, this is how I got my nickname." Actually, this is a fun story. I'll tell it really quick. I don't want to take up time for it, but
no, go for it.
They'd be like, "What's that noise?" Like, "Oh, that's my friend Lord Black." playing this loot chants for loot drops, you know? So, yeah, that is how the name Lord Black came to be when I was about 14 or 15, which is a long time ago now. I'll be 40 next month, by the way. So, yeah, it was like, oh, what's that noise back there? Oh, that's Lord Black. He's playing his loot chants for hopefully get that gold drop, you know. So that is how that all came up. I was a spectator, like watching football. I could tell you everything about those games, even though I didn't play most of them. I watched them and it was there the whole time. I did play EverQuest briefly. It was fun. I enjoyed it.
That's so funny. Yeah, I was
Now you know
hardcore
the
into it.
secret behind where Lord Black came
Great
from.
story. I love
know
it.
the secret.
Love it. That's awesome. Moon, how you doing, man? Thanks for being here.
Hey guys, what's going on?
Moon, you've missed all the good combos, man. We're done for the day, so we'll see you. I'm just kidding. How you doing, man?
What was your story of Lord Black? Where'd that come from?
Yeah, Steve had brought up playing MMOs and things like that. And I said, well, would you play WoW? He said, no, he played EverQuest. So, yeah, I played EverQuest for like a short period, but I never really played many games. I was always a spectator. My buddies always played. I hung out at their houses while they played, like practice my instruments in the background. Their friends would always be like, what's that noise? And my buddy started calling me Lord Black because my last name's Black. They started calling me that when I was a kid. So, oh, that's Lord Black. He's playing his loot chants. We're trying to get that gold drop or that, that new item. Or whatever.
That's cool.
That's how that came up many, many years ago. So, yeah. I didn't make that up, y'all. In DeFi.
That's awesome.
That was like
my
nickname as a kid growing up. So,
EverQuest. I haven't heard that name in so much.
Yeah. I was pretty hardcore into that. Believe it or not, interesting story. That's how awesome. I met my wife on EverQuest.
That is so cool.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, we were friends, actually. We were just friends, and we hung out and all that stuff. We would go on quests together and stuff like that. And she lived down here in the States, and I was living in Canada, and we were just playing and having a good old time. And, and eventually I was taking a vacation, and I went down to Florida, and she's like, I got my friends down there. I was going to go there anyway. And so we met, and we totally hit it off. And then, yeah, so that's how I met my wife, is through EverQuest. Kind of wild.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to criticize. Cool. I met my wife on an app about cats, so there we go.
Awesome. Since we're talking about it, let's do it. I met mine on Facebook, of all abominable places to meet someone. But I mean, to my credit, she did have an Iron Maiden tank top on, and she was playing.
That counts for a lot.
Yeah, exactly. Especially in my world. I'm like, wait a second, that's cool. And the kicker was, she was playing ukulele and doing all kinds of awesome cover songs, from like Billy Idol to Chris Isaac to all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, yep, that's the one. And sure enough, here I am. 2 years later, engaged, living in a house together, moved our families together. Yeah, so there we go.
You knew.
You can meet your significant other online. It happens.
It happens, exactly. You know what it is? Yeah. You know what the trick is? Just be yourself.
Not looking for it.
Exactly. Don't look for it.
Not looking for it.
And you just be yourself, and they get to know you for who you are, and not for the, oh, I gotta be cool for this girl. You know what I mean? I gotta show her that, I'm all these things when you're really not those things. That's the key.
Yeah, that almost never works. They're
exactly, right. Yeah. You can't keep up the act forever. Really, you can't.
When they ask me what's my favorite song on the Power Slave Maiden album, I knew at that moment that was it.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm gonna tell my wife about this. She's gonna love this.
I wasn't the guy who's like, name 3 songs. I wasn't that guy. She asked me, what's your favorite song on the Power Slave? And I'm like,
that's awesome. So you guys.
I mean, wait, no, it's not that. It's Power Slave.
Do you guys jam out together?
Oh my gosh, that's such a funny question. I have been trying since day one to get her to jam with me on that dang uke. She plays uke and she's great at it, but she won't do it. She just won't do it yet. I'm almost there though. I know it's going to happen. This is the year where she is going to finally sit down and just jam with me.
There you go.
She'll play her uke. We'll play guitar or something.
There's like electric ukuleles now and stuff.
Yeah, heck yeah. You can make any ukulele electric if you wanted to. You just put a pickup in it. But yeah, I mean, there's tons of them. Just 2 ukes, pretty cool. I like playing ukulele. It's fun.
Awesome. Read
I do have a friend that did that. They did put a pickup or a couple pickups on a ukulele. I gotta say, unless you absolutely know what you're doing, don't. It's not that terrible. It was horrible.
You know what's really cool is when you see like a ukulele in the style of a classic guitar, like a Flying V, like a little Gibson Flying V, and you see a ukulele that looks like that. It's so cool.
There's Flying V ukuleles. I've never seen that.
Hell yeah, man! I mean, they make anything you want. It's out there. Yeah, there's Flying V ukuleles, all kinds of cool stuff.
No,
there's little mini Flying V electrics. They're like little mini guitars. Those are a lot of fun.
I've never been I do play guitar, but I'm a Les Paul. I'm a Gibson Les Paul guy for sure.
Ooh, Les Paul guy, huh? I gotta go, brother. I'll see you around. That's cool. Yeah, that's awesome. I've never actually owned a Les Paul. I sold music gear for a very long time. Back in my teaching days, I also worked in music retail, and I never was really a Les Paul guy. I mean, of course, respect. It's Les Paul. I was always a Strat guy growing up, and then as time went on, I was really into like a lot of the 80s shred guitars, the classic Charvels and the Jacksons and the Kramers and all that stuff. But
they're basically the Stratocaster of guitars. Almost, it's just expensive. They're good at everything, not exceptional at any one thing. So they're
word of advice: if you're gonna own a Gibson, everybody, Les Paul, just make sure it's maybe a little older. Just buy you a real Les Paul that's I don't mean like 30 years old, but 15, 20 years old. Just take my word for it. The Gibson, there's a Gibson factory here in Memphis. I don't know if you know that, but
Interesting.
Yeah.
We have one out here too. I'm trying to remember what it is. It's not a Gibson, I don't think. It is, what guitar manufacturer is in San Diego? I can't remember now. I haven't been to it yet. I'd love to though. When COVID hit, just before that, my wife went there with her son and said it was amazing. I can't remember which one it is now.
Interesting.
Have you tried a Schecter, Cody?
I've owned many Schecters over the years. Yes, I've owned many Schecters, from moderate level to very high end Schecters. Yeah.
I've tried the moderate ones. I'm not really too happy with that. They're not great for clean sound, but man, you put distortion on that thing, and that thing shreds. Damn.
Well, Schecter's a great company. Just like many guitar companies, they're a fantastic company. They do a lot of different types of builds. They've been around for a long time too, which a lot of people don't realize. I think they really have only been around for 5 to 10 years. They've been around a lot longer than that. Yeah, I've had a couple different Schecters. The Schecters I did have are all 7-string Schecters. They all were active electronics. I think my favorite that I still have, because if you're a musician, anyone out there, you know how it is. You buy, sell, and trade constantly. You get this, and then you trade it for something else later, and etc. So you never maintain all of the same gear that you have. My Jackson Soloist, I've had 2 different 7-string Jackson Soloists. One with EMG active electronics, one with Seymour Duncan blackouts. And I have to say, being a child of the 90s, the EMGs were up and coming. Everybody's like, yeah, EMG active electronics are great company. But I think the Seymour Duncan blackouts blow them out of the water. And that's that.
Taylor.
I've never actually played a 7-string guitar, to be honest.
I'd recommend it. It's a lot of fun. It's just another low B string, that's all.
Taylor Guitar is the one that's here in San Diego.
Oh, yes. I love Taylor acoustics. I don't own a Taylor acoustic, but I would love to have a nice Taylor, like 710 or something, or 714, I'm sorry. That's a fantastic company. And I'll choose a Taylor guitar over a Martin acoustic any day of the week.
I was about to say that. My dad bought a Martin acoustic. That thing was like $7,000 or some ridiculous crap like that. It sounds like heaven, but Jesus Christ, who the hell can afford that?
Yeah, I mean, they can get up there. It just depends on what it is. And they're fantastic guitars. They're, Taylor and Martin are the 2 biggest makers of acoustic guitars and have been for many decades. I prefer a Taylor. That's just me. I like the way the necks are cut. They're a little bit less round, like a baseball bat.
Dude, he has it on the stand. He has it on a stand, and he doesn't play it, and he doesn't allow anyone to touch it. So there you go. $7,000 well spent.
That's what we do. We just like to stare at it, you know.
I got a question for you and Moon after I read a couple comments here. EverGrow Love, EverQuest for the win? Absolutely, 100%. That's so funny that some people are still unaware. And Beverly Ruth said, good night, our beautiful EverGrow pug. So yeah, looks like he dropped out already. I think it's very late where he lives. And what else?
Yeah, he's in Poland. So
yeah, for sure.
8 hours from us here in Central Standard, 8 or so, give or take, 6 to 8 hours.
EverGrow Love also said, I think the whole EGC fam is far from normal. Yeah, absolutely, I agree. So my question for Cody and Moon, who for people who aren't guitar aficionados, and what is the secret sauce to make a great guitar?
When you say make a great guitar, do you mean like actually build a great guitar? Or what do you mean?
Yeah, I mean like there's a million guitars out there, right? So what is it that makes you go to a particular brand, a particular model for, and then what is it that again that thing that makes it so darn good that you want it, and you're like, hey, it's a $30,000 guitar, but it's money well spent, in my opinion.
This is a great question. Coming from a person who sold music gear for many, many years, who taught music for many, many years, the answer to this question is user specific. I would always tell people, like when they come and say, like, well, what should I buy for my first guitar? And I'm like, man, the first thing you should do is just go see what appeals to you visually. If you like the way something looks, you will play it. It doesn't matter if it's a $100 guitar or a $10,000 instrument. Do I recommend you buying a $10,000 guitar for your first? No, I don't. If you have millions of dollars, I mean, hey, do what you want. It's your money. But the first thing is like, go see what gravitates to you. Go see what appeals to you visually. Put your hands on some things. See what feels good, even if you haven't learned to play yet. If you like what you're looking at and that excites you, you will play it. That is the best advice I can give someone for picking up the first instrument.
Hey guys, I'm getting a vibe from this conversation, and the vibe that I'm picking up on is that EverGrow is going to branch out into manufacturing musical instruments.
Is this the next utility? I don't know. Maybe.
So maybe what it is, we will actually sell NFTs on LunaSky NFT Marketplace, and if you bring that NFT over to a Guitar Center, you can get a 20% off coupon.
Oh my gosh! Only on specific holidays.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When Guitar Sky V2.
Oh my gosh.
What do you think, Moon? How do you feel about that? Do you agree with Cody?
Yeah, like I said before, for anyone that doesn't understand, there's, many different brands of guitars. Some have their strengths, some have their weaknesses. I gave the example of a Schecter that I never had played before. My dad bought a fairly high-end one, and when I first tried it, first of all, they're heavy as crap, my God. And then I tried it, and the first time I plugged it in, just clean sound, no distortion, no effects to it. And I played it a little bit, and I was like, wow, how much you pay for this? This sounds like crap. And then I turn on some heavy distortion on it. I'm like, oh my Lord, this is beautiful. What is going on? So you see, they can be terrible at one thing, and for a very specific thing, they can be the best there ever was. What makes that happen? I don't know. Something about the way it's manufactured, something about the wood used, something about the measurements. No idea. That's, brand secret, I guess.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's user specific. Like every person is different. I have liked things in my life that I now do not. I have disliked things in my life that I now love. It's user specific. Would I own another Schecter at this point in my life? No, I wouldn't. Why? I've had several, and I liked them at the time, and they were great guitars for me. But I don't want another Schecter now. Like I don't think they're bad guitars. That's just kind of where my taste has evolved for what I like the feel of,
And there are a lot of stories of like the $1 million cello, because of the wood that they were made of at the time that they were made, the species that it was used. I mean, you just don't have the same kind of growth. In the wood of today is very, very different from the wood of even 20, 30, 40 years ago. And it's, that's why we don't really have any real, like, furniture that's made of real wood. Most of the stuff is foam and veneer, you know what I mean? And so you're going to get a completely different acoustic, what's the word? What's the word I'm looking for?
Well, Stradivarius specifically is the violin, the $1 million.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
That you hear about a lot from history, the Stradivarius violins, right? Paganini and etc. Right? So it's like, yeah, you're right. I mean, the things like the wood, the way these things were built, the way instruments are built now, I mean, they're all going to affect the quality of it. This is how things are priced too, along with the market fluctuation, etc. But yeah, I mean, some of the wood now is not the same as it was even 20, 30 years ago. That's why I said earlier, if you're going to buy a Les Paul, I mean, you're going to get what you paid for, right? You could buy a studio Les Paul for under $1,000. It'd be a good guitar.
Don't terrible.
It'd be fine. Yeah, I mean, I'm doing quotations with my fingers right now. Y'all just can't see that.
Especially if you get into classical. You there, Cody? Sorry.
Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit, Cody.
Yeah, I'm still here. Uh-oh.
There you are.
How about now? I'm still here.
Yeah. Go ahead there, man.
Classical?
No, yeah, I was saying, especially once you get into classical instruments like violins and cellos and pianos. Oh, yeah, once you get into that, oh, yeah, you could easily reach the hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars for a world-class instrument. And at that point, that's a dream for most of us.
It's funny.
Yeah, you could get a Steinway Grand, and Steinway Grand piano, or even a Steinway Mini Grand, or even a Steinway stand-up. It's like and spend tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Right.
We were talking about NFTs a little bit ago, and it's all about the same thing, though, isn't it? Really, collectability, rarity, exclusivity. Michael Garber would probably say, it's the psychology is probably very similar. Like when you have only 1,000 certain NFTs, and again the marketing behind it and all that stuff that goes in together. People pay. I think what was it? What was the one I saw not long ago? There was I think it was a JPEG. I can't remember who made it or what, but I mean millions of dollars. And you would think that somebody has whipped this thing up, with absolutely zero talent whatsoever. And so
maybe like Microsoft Paint.
Exactly.
Maybe they're using Microsoft Paint. Boom, $1 million.
Exactly.
You know what's crazy about that is that it shows how quick the crypto universe really is. So basically, you're talking about NFTs that came out, I don't know, at most 3, 4, 5 years ago, and they have matured to the point where they're now worth $1 million or millions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at the same thing in the real world, like we were talking about for classical instruments, yeah, that took millennia. So, you know what I mean? How fast this space moves is insane.
Absolutely, yeah. Sorry, I think I lost you guys there for a second. Well, you can hear me okay?
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, my dog decided that she wanted to be right in my lap right while we're talking here. All right, there we go.
Did you see SEC Gensler news?
Say that again, please.
Security Exchange Commission and Gensler and
Yes.
Bill to get him the hell out of there.
Oh no, what was this one? Just recent?
Yeah, they're going filed a bill to get him out.
Oh, yes, that was earlier in the week, was it not?
Yes.
I would. I think, Cody, what's your take on everything that's going on with the SEC and CWP? Chime in, please. I know we kind of bash a little bit in the last space there. That he needs to go, needs to be fired. What's your take on it? Because we haven't spoken in a few weeks.
I'm sorry, were you asking me?
Yes, yeah. What's your thoughts on whole SEC going after Coinbase and then going after Binance and and Robinhood's apparently Robinhood tried to for the last 16 months to try and file what did they called it? It was I forget the terminology now, but they've been working with the SEC to try and get kind of basically a special provision where they could actually sell, and they got the door slammed in their face and said, we were working with them, and all of a sudden now they're not interested in talking anymore, and so they had to remove a handful of crypto from their trading platform.
Yeah, I think it's ridiculous. I mean, obviously the SEC, and I'm not going to get too heavy into this, but the lawsuits against like the exchanges, right, Binance, Coinbase, are just following a year of price volatility and the collapse of some of these other crypto communities. It's actually, they also, I mean, they do include like the fraud charges against places like FTX, et cetera, but I don't know. I really don't know what to think about this yet. I mean, we have to see how this plays out, but I guess for my very first point, I just think it's ridiculous. It's, like why? Why are they doing this? Why are they coming after this? Like what? They filed the suit against Binance and Coinbase. Obviously, all of 2022 is volatile as it could possibly be. I just don't get it.
Yeah.
I just like you wake up one day and this is the thing, and you're like, why now?
Yeah.
Like, and then what does this mean for going forward? Like, what's really going to happen with this in a year? Do we think anything detrimental to the community that we love and we exist in over here is going to be affected by it? I mean, possibly. We don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard to say. I mean,
I think your question, Cody, the why question really puts, all the cards on the table. That's really it. Why now? Exactly. Because at the end of the day, the SEC sued Binance, sued Coinbase, sued XRP, but they didn't sue FTX. Oh, no. The biggest disaster.
It makes absolutely no sense. That's the point. Like, why? It's like they've been sending these warning signs for a long time that didn't believe crypto exchanges were following the rules. Okay, then FTX gets proven they're not following the rules, but they didn't sue them.
Yeah, and I think there was a certain degree of cooperation from these companies too, where they were trying to work with them, and then it almost seems like SEC didn't really want to play game anymore, like they were just not interested, and I almost feel like it almost seemed like there was political pressure to go on a hunt, and we need to.
I think so. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But I think that's why they're acting more aggressively. I mean, in the wake of like the whole FTX thing, I think that's why they've acted more aggressively.
Yeah.
I mean, in that case, it's like going after both Binance, who's like a big player in that saga, right, with FTX, and then Coinbase, which is or was the largest crypto exchange in the U.S. I mean, it's a joke. It's ridiculous.
But there's so much money. There's so much money in
what you did like that.
Any thoughts on why? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that there was so much celebrity endorsement, so much attention on who was involved in FTX. Like, there were politicians involved in it, big money. It probably would have been pretty embarrassing for them. That's just, me thinking, right?
So the SEC?
Yeah, well, I mean, at the SEC, it's like if they were to make this, come after sue FTX and all that stuff, then everybody, now you're in an investigation, right? Now we have a discovery process. Who is into FTX?
I see what you're saying.
You see what I mean?
Yeah, and Binance are accused of like, fraudulent activity, similar as I say this in quotations, similar to, some of the things that went on with FTX. And then Coinbase, it's like they're talking about whether it's properly registered and operating as an exchange.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, at a higher level, I think that there's just been a debate about what is crypto and what isn't it.
Yeah.
Right? Is it a security? Is it a commodity? Do they operate exchanges or spot markets, et cetera? Blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm not a big fan of this topic. I'll be straight with you about it. If you can't tell in the tone of my voice. But, it gets me fired up like it does y'all. That's why you rarely hear me.
No, it definitely gets me fired up.
I'm just like, golly, man. You
Yeah.
know?
I mean, you don't even have to look any further than the actual preliminary lawsuit and the fact that the judge they sued Binance and the judge looked at the lawsuit, looked at the case, looked at the details, they asked to freeze all of Binance's assets and freeze all operations. Okay, the judge looked at it. He looked at it. And he said, "Okay, if I'm going to freeze, I'm going to give a freeze order. What evidence does the SEC have of your claims and everything that Binance is doing wrong?"
Yeah.
Nothing. They got nothing. Didn't freeze anything because he couldn't freeze anything because they simply don't have evidence. What the hell is this?
Yeah.
Are
Exactly.
all of
Guilty
you
until proven
aware-
innocent. That's how it sounds.
Are all of you aware that prosecutors just dropped some of the charges against SBF?
No, I wasn't aware.
I saw that.
I didn't know.
And they're proceeding with the case, but my speculation on that might concur with what you guys were just talking about. There are some dirty people out there that the case with SBF might expose if they continue prosecutions in certain directions.
Yeah, and if you combine that with where he's cooperating, and they're going to say, okay, let's make a deal. I know I'm going to go to jail, but if we can kind of like clean this up a little bit, I'll just accept responsibility. You, instead of going and throwing the book at me, you're going to throw a couple pages, and and then we look like the hero at the end of it, right?
That's what he should do, because honestly, first of all, that would be a way for SBF to start paying some of the crap he did back.
Right.
The second, it would benefit everyone. It would benefit him. He'd get less time. It would benefit crypto. It'd benefit everybody involved. I really hope he comes forward and really cleans the table with a lot of names and a lot of corruption.
Exactly. Yeah. You bet.
Yeah, time will tell. We'll see. On that note, my friends, my people, my family, I have got to jet for the evening, but pleasure as always, Steve. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Cody. I appreciate you being here. I know your weekends are really busy.
Number 43, we're coming up on 50. I think on the 50th space, we should just have a big party and celebration.
I agree.
And to everyone else, I love you all. You're all awesome. Thank you so much for just being you. And I will see you soon in the interwebs. See you out there.
Take care, Cody. Thanks for being here.
See you around.
Awesome. Yeah, I think it would be nice to put this kind of chapter behind us in terms of FTX. There does need to be accountability, absolutely, because there's there's a lot of underhanded things that were happening, and if anybody was guilty of breaking laws and worthy of an investigation and shutting down, FTX was it. They're keeping customers' money and tracking them on Excel. You know what I mean? That's kind of that's kind of your idea of bookkeeping. So, but yeah, pretty bad stuff. Let me give a quick comment here. Let's see. I don't know if I hit. Let's see here. Zelda. Hello, AGC fam, and Rise of Empires here. Absolutely. Let's see what else. I'll give a shout out to a few people who are listening. Rick B, Joel M, Naked NFT Girl. How you doing? Did you ever cut your hair, Naked NFT Girl? I know you were posting about it. You were cutting off your dreads. I don't know if you did it or not. I never saw a follow up on that. Monty Bucks and Zelda, of course. Miguel Crypto and Frank NFTs. Oh, I think I saw it. I think I missed it. What's Gracious? Good to see you, man. And EGC Rubicon, Exponential EverGrow, Drake Fist, and Jordovic. Who else we got here? Alarian, and I'm sorry, I'm thinking I'm just Alarian, yes. And if I mispronounced it, my apologies. And I don't know how to pronounce your name. Faisal Abdul Rahman. Thanks for being here. I don't think I've ever seen you in the space before. Thanks for being here. Popeye and Insignificant Cobb. We talked to you earlier a little bit. And I.L. Mamouni. My apologies if I butchered that name. G00, Tommy L. And who else we got here? Michael Johnson. Thanks for being here today. Appreciate it. And Naked NFT Girl wants to come up and talk. All right, let's give it a minute.
Somebody new, yes.
Naked NFT Girl, how you doing? Thanks for all your artwork. I really appreciate it. Can you hear us okay? Hopefully you don't have the Android bug. You do need to be on mobile. I'm not too sure if you've been on Space before, but it doesn't work on desktop. It only works on mobile for some reason. I don't know why.
Maybe she's shy.
Yeah, just gave the heart there. Are you?
If you have an iPhone or an iPad, I would recommend switching to that.
Yeah, I've got an iPhone and it seems to work just fine, but some people with Android seem to have issue with spaces. I don't know if there's a fix, or you have to make sure you're up to the latest version on the App Store or something. Moon, have you been able to figure out what the reason is?
I haven't been able to figure it out. I'm on an Android right now. Although I'm not having any issues now, but last Spaces I was having issues again.
Gotcha.
So I don't know.
Gotcha.
But yeah, the iPhone always seems to work.
Yeah. She said horrible signal driving at the moment in the mountains. Ah, that's probably what it is then. Yeah, but more than if you can get a signal and you can talk, by all means, just jump in. Yeah.
There's nothing I don't think that is shy at all about Naked NFT Girl.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Yeah. And did you see she got an alternative profile, clothed NFT girl? The clean version.
I saw that. Clean version.
Exactly. Yeah.
The safe for work version.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, she did that for the stupid Twitter algorithm.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah. But I noticed most of her work is it's got that, it's grayed out, and I think you have to like hit the button to basically see whatever it is, right? So I thought that would be a solution to the problem. You would think that would satisfy it. Hey, sensitive material, right? So Brian says,
not where Musk is concerned.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. Brian was saying, well, I was listening, but apparently we were not supposed to tag anyone that's not online in Discord and the Twitter chat, which I find stupid, and apparently no one pays attention to that one actually in Twitter Spaces. Well, actually, I'm not too sure. Yeah. Not supposed to tag anyone that's not online. I'm not too sure what that means. But your BP Crypto.
Not sure I got that.
Yeah, your BP Crypto, if not mistaken, right? BP Crypto 43. And I've been trying to get your NFTs up on LunaSky Instagram. Yeah.
What else have we got? Let's see.
Steve, would this be a good place for me to jump in with my apology for my misstatements and incorrect information I gave out in the last space?
Go for it.
Okay. I'm not a baby boomer. I wondered I just out of curiosity, I wanted to see if there was something that I am with a name, and it was called the Silent Generation, among other things, in the pre-war generation, since I was born during World War II. So I grew up and went to school during all of the victory celebrations where the United States took the complete credit for having ended World War II, especially in Europe as well as Japan. And our teachers pounded into us, and I mean literally pounded into us, our need to be good citizens and vote. And complained about the poor voter turnout, the poor voter registration, etc., which is where I think I got the idea that the United States had the lowest voter participation in the world.
Yeah, that was your statement last space, right?
Yes. And I was wrong. Very wrong. But so I went out looking for statistics. What I found out, besides that I was very wrong, was actually kind of sad too. And I found the statistics vary a little bit, not drastically, but there seems to be no authoritarian view of how many people are actually registered to vote in this country. But in the 2019 and 2020 global elections, the voter turnout in 2020 soared to levels not seen in decades. And that, of course, was fueled by the bitter campaign between Biden and Trump, and also facilitated by pandemic changes in the state election rules.
Yeah, people can vote from home. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
More than 158.4 million people voted in that election. This is according to Pew Research Center.
That's a pretty good number.
Yeah.
That amounted to 62.8% of people of voting age.
That seems pretty good.
The lowest, I was going to look up who it ran this year, and I didn't get it. The lowest voter turnout in the United States since 1932 was in 1996 at only 49%.
Who was running at that time? Do you remember?
Yeah, I don't know. I was going to look it up, and I didn't get that looked up. So I did want to correct that, and I found some very, very other interesting statistics that people may or may not want to know. If I can see where I pulled those up.
So does it show you what country has the lowest statistics for voting in the world?
Yes, and the highest. And to me, it was very interesting to know, if I can find this, darn it, to know what other countries' voting records were compared to ours. Where did I bury this?
If you were to guess, Moon, where would you think, what country would have the highest voter participation? If you were to guess.
What country would have the highest voting participation?
Yes, yeah.
Damn.
It's a tough one, huh?
I'm going to have to think about this. Hang on.
If I were to guess, I was going to say maybe Japan. But I'm probably very wrong.
Japan?
Yeah. I'm going to bring up Frank real quick. What do you think, Frank? What do you think? Which country has the highest voter participation in the world? If you were to make a guess.
I would say my country, Australia, because if you don't vote, you get fined.
If you don't vote, you get fined.
No way. What?
No, you're joking.
No, let me give you a big surprise. Here are the top 10 countries with the highest voter turnout, and these are elections, presidential elections, parliamentary elections that are dated between 2014 and 2022.
Okay.
Number one country, Rwanda.
Really?
With 98.15% voter turnout of registered voters.
I'm glad I didn't put money on that.
Number two, Laos. At 98.02. Third, Turkmenistan, 97 plus. Singapore, 95 plus, and Vietnam, 95 plus.
Okay, Singapore makes sense because of their laws around it and the whole situation going in the country. But the other ones, wow, I was nowhere near. Holy crap.
Yeah.
Now, I don't even know where Nauru is. There's a country I didn't know exists.
I've never heard of it. Yeah.
I've heard of it before, yes.
Number 7 is Ethiopia.
Another
Number
African
8
country.
was
Wow.
Equatorial Guinea. 9, Togo. And 10, my favorite little island that I would love to visit and never have is Antigua and Barbuda.
Is that a lot because they're not spread apart, so it's easier to vote, do you think?
I don't think so. From what I've been able to see, it's about their dedication to democracy, which was a whole other thing that I wanted to share with you if anybody is interested. What are the most democratic countries in the world? We, of course, think we are, although there's a lot of people that would probably say we're losing our democracy rapidly, which I would agree with.
I would probably guess Europe.
And it's interesting. This is I've forgotten where the statistics are coming from, but they're coming from multiple places and grouped. So here's the top 10, and I think you'll enjoy this, Steve. Number 1 is Norway. Number 2, New Zealand, Finland, Sweden, Iceland, Denmark, Ireland, Taiwan is number 8.
Wow.
Australia, number 9, and number 10 is Canada.
Interesting.
And the United States is all the way down at 26.
What is it that makes, how do you get to the top? Like, what is it that makes one country more, like democratic than another?
Things like a score based on things like their dedication to democracy,
like education, things like that.
Yeah,
social programs.
Yeah, so not just social programs, but their political attitudes within the country.
Okay, that makes sense.
Which binds itself very strongly to a country's culture by nature.
Yes, that too.
So I would like to take a step back, though, and ask Frank, sorry, CWB, and ask Frank, I'm sorry, you get fined if you don't vote in Australia? Because that really busted my ball.
Yeah, I was thinking the same.
And there are other countries that I know that have made voting mandatory. I don't know which those are. And the question is, that's discussed, is that a better thing to do or is it worse? Some of the common experience or things that I've read about that say that it's not a good thing to make it mandatory.
And it's not, because although it ultimately hurts democracy as a whole if you don't vote, going after you for not voting infringes on your freedom to choose to not vote.
Mm-hmm.
That's a whole can of worms.
Yeah.
And so that involves civil liberties. So there's civil liberties versus political participation. It's a very interesting thing to ponder.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is, because, I mean, once you start doing that, then where do you stop, right? Do you get fined if you don't go to work one day? Do you get fined if you don't, eat at certain hours? You know what I mean? That's dangerous.
Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. Frank, tell us more about this. You get fined if you don't vote. How does that work? Hopefully, Frank is still there?
Oh, he's not here?
No, he's there, but he's muted. But maybe he just can't talk. That's really, really interesting. He posed a question, actually, earlier in the chat here. He said, this is about 13 minutes ago, is it going to be Q2 or Q3 release? Give us transparency on that. What was that reference? I mean, I didn't see a question or anything like that. Frank, you've been really, really patient, and you've been asking for that for almost ever since I can remember. Just like, let us know when projects are, or when the products are actually coming out. And it's a tough question to ask, and it's an even tougher question to answer, because I know the team have, are really, really not for nailing down dates. And I understand we say quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3. I think that's fair. Where does technically Q2 end? Is that the end of this month? January, February, March?
I think so.
Yes.
So.
So, and I always understood LunaSky NFT being at the end of Q2. But I don't think that was like expressly said. You know what I mean? But I just kind of assumed it to be, for right or for wrong.
The official release date is in fact Q2.
Yeah.
So basically, they have until the end of this month.
But they haven't said Atlas, right?
Oh, hang on. He was talking about Atlas.
Oh, yeah, I don't think he specified. I think he just said, utilities in general. I think, when is LunaSky coming out? When is Atlas Wallet coming out? Nail it down to a quarter, something like that.
I wish you would have read that when Cody was still here. Although I'm sure he would say the same thing. He's always said. But the official date, quote unquote, is Q2. Q2.
A couple of spaces ago, Cody was pretty firm. Somebody asked a question, and he says, if it doesn't come out by the end of June, something's really, really wrong. You know what I mean? Like, meaning it should be. You know what I mean? So
right.
I was surprised by that.
Yeah, I remember him being very specific about that and very firm about it.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, if it doesn't come out, again, I'm not saying it's not going to come out in Q2. Pretty sure it will. But if it doesn't, we're expecting the pitchforks. Absolutely. For LunaSky, at least. I think Atlas, like I've said before, has a little bit more leniency.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, personally, I wouldn't mind if it came out in Q3. If that's, in my mind, if that's the time Atlas needs to be, 100%, I'm fine with waiting. But LunaSky doesn't have that leniency. It just doesn't.
No.
And if it doesn't come out within this timeline, then then it doesn't come out. But there will be consequences of that, obviously.
No, I know with the I think with LunaSky you can be a little bit more forgiving in terms of if there's like a bug or something, right? Not that we expect that to be that way. I think they're aiming for perfection. You know what I mean? But with a wallet, I kind of want it to work 100%. I don't want any issues with it. I don't want it to be buggy at all because that just could turn off users. You know what I mean? So
exactly, and it would. I mean, if you get into the Atlas wallet and you experience any sort of bugs, immediately that cuts into your sense of security. 100%. I mean, it's a wallet.
Absolutely.
And the second a user feels that, they're not coming back to it. They feel they're not secure.
Yeah.
So take the time you need with Atlas wallet because I really don't want to screw that up.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah. As far as LunaSky, different story.
Yeah, for sure.
Moon, what consequences do you see for LunaSky being late?
The holders are simply not going to forgive it. They're simply not going to forgive. I'll forgive it. Yeah. Again, that's my perspective on it. I'd rather wait to have something. But the 90% plus of the community is not going to forgive that. They're just not. I've talked to them. I've known them. I've read their complaints. I've read the room. It is what it is. We'll have to deal with it.
When it does come out, regardless of when, if it's a really kick-ass utility, don't you think a lot of those naysayers will come back? Do you not think that we will get a whole bunch of people coming into that utility, and we'll have a whole lot of FOMOs who were bad-mouthing it before turn tail and come crawling back?
Absolutely, and that could in fact happen, and it will probably happen. The problem is it's another deadline that you do not keep. So basically what that does is that gives them ammo. Even if you put out the best marketplace of all time, they will still say, yes, but you did this and that and that. But you didn't release, 1, 2, 3 when you said you would, 1, 2, 3 times. But it wasn't this, but it wasn't that. You know what I mean? So they'll hang on to that, unfortunately. And we'll see a lot of FUD coming from that. And, there's just no way around it.
And the price of EGC will drop, which will give me the opportunity to buy a whole lot more. Speaking very selfishly.
I just reading a comment there from Brian. Probably won't be in Discord much anymore. To be honest, it's annoying. Discord can't post links, NFTs, or any of the, or even they're building an NFT marketplace. Won't be, won't even make a separate channel for that, and you aren't supposed to tag anyone who's offline. Most ridiculous I've heard. There's reason for these rules. I mean, I'm not making excuses, but there's reasons that they have these rules in place for links and all that stuff, because other people would shill their projects and you would just get spammed all in the Discord, and it just, you can't even make sense of it. So
there's other servers, other channels within the server where you can post your NFT.
Yes, exactly. And there's a Creator Core channel within Twitter as well, where you're not supposed to shill your own project. Other people shill yours. So for instance, I would post your artwork on there, and vice versa, and all that stuff. So again, there's specific rules for very specific reasons, and I think they were pretty well thought out. But
is Frank speaking?
Frank is
I'm not speaking.
I can hear you in the background, but yeah.
Oh, sorry, mate.
That's right. So you got to tell us about this tax, sir, Frank. What's going on, with voting? Or fine?
In Australia, it's we get a 90% voter turnout, and if you don't vote, it's a $50 fine.
Wow.
Wow. Okay.
I had no idea. A $50 fine if you don't go and vote. What if you show up with a doctor's note?
Sorry, what was that?
What if you have a doctor's note?
No, we've got postal votes and all that sort of stuff. It's mandatory to vote.
Wow.
But some people don't vote, but that 10% don't vote because, it's better off paying the $50 and then, put some retard in charge of the country.
So it's interesting because CWP statistics don't match up with what you were saying, the 95%. That's interesting.
No, we're 90%. I said 90%.
Oh, sorry.
We're 90%, yeah.
Interesting.
So
Where
we're
does
just
that
outside
where
the
does
top
that
10.
money go from the fines?
That's a good question. Probably to other corrupt politicians to get their preference votes.
Well, do you agree with that, Frank?
No, I don't.
So do you
I
pay
don't
the
agree.
fine and not vote, or do you just vote?
No, you pay the fine. You don't vote, you'll get a fine in the letter. You pay it and go, see you later.
So do you
But, you know,
do you personally vote, or do you just say, yeah, here, take my $50, you're not going to tell me what to do?
No, I personally vote because the only way you can make change is if you vote. But our preference system, which, you know, I don't want to go into too much detail, you know, for example, our last federal election, Labor got 33% of the primary vote, and Liberals, who I usually vote for, which is like the Republicans, got 35% of the primary votes, but they lost because of the preference deal that Labor made with all the other minor parties. So,
I know what he's talking about. Yeah, Europe has a lot of that too. Yeah.
Interesting.
Basically, if your party loses, the other parties can literally band together and put their votes together and rule the country together. Basically, that's what it was.
Not even rule together, because our two major parties are Labor and Liberal. And what all does is, you know, for example, if an independent wins a seat, you know, he wins that seat. But for example, all the other minor parties, how can I put it? The simplest way to put it, just say there's 10 people going for a seat, and they don't win, their votes that went to those people that didn't win, they choose to which major party those votes go to.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, so it's ridiculous, you know. So, you know, how can I put it? You know, my area is a very Labor-orientated area, and yet the Liberals got 24% of the votes, a major swing against Labor, and they still lost because of all the other little pissant groups gave their votes to Labor. So they still got over the line by 1%. And you just go, hang on, that's not democracy.
I'm looking at a statistic here for the parliamentary election in Australia in 2022 that 89.74% turnout. Is that match?
Yeah, 90%. You might as well just say 90%. Yep. So it's ridiculous, our system, the way it works. The party with the major votes can lose.
So, I mean, you know, it also depends. I see where you're coming from, but it also depends on, you know, how close things are and what type of decisions are to be made from such votes. And I think a perfect example of that is Britain when they voted for Brexit, where they actually went forward with Brexit, but it was 52% for yes and 48% for no. That's within a 4% range. So literally what you have is doing a major decision that will change the course of the country forever. But 50% of the country says yes and 50% says no. So you have literally a country divided in half. And you still go forward with it, even though there's no clear majority. There's such a small percentage. I mean, a few thousand people voting wrong, you know, by mistake could skew that. So what ended up happening is you have a perfect situation to have a critical political instability at home, or even going as far as civil war. That's how civil wars are created, when you have a country so divided, and yet you go forward just with such a small percentage of difference. And I think that's ultimately a mistake. I think there should always be a clear majority.
I do agree with that in a sense. For a referendum, I agree. You know, majority, regardless the way I look at it, if it's 51% or 52%, that still means the majority of the country voted for that. But when it comes to electing politicians, they should not have a preference system. That's what I like about the American system, is you make a vote. So, for example, you know, Biden versus Trump. If in this state, Trump got 48% and Biden got 46%, Trump wins because he's got the majority of the votes. And that's the way it should be.
Not necessarily, because of the Electoral College.
Right.
Which needs to be done away with.
So you've got a similar thing to us, like a preferencing system, except you call it the Electoral College.
Yeah, I'm not like I'm relatively new to the States, so I'm 10 years whatever, so I'm still not really 100% familiar with the nuances like of the electoral college and how people are selected and why. I mean, because you could win the popular vote, the one for one, right? And I'm just gonna mute you, Frank, because I'm getting a lot of background noise here. Um, you could have a million more people. I think that happened in the election of with Hillary Clinton, where she had I think a couple million more votes than her competitor, and still lost. And correct me if I'm wrong on that,
It's
Steve.
happened 5 times in U.S. elections.
Can you name which ones that was? Because I know
No, but I can look it up.
Yeah.
And 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 it and it's about even Democrats and Republicans
Right.
who lost or who won. So I'll look it up and come back.
I remember
It's a system that's so bad because the whole idea, for instance, of battleground states, right? What is the idea of battleground states? So the only reason why battleground states exist is because once you count the votes, the one that get the most votes wins, and that means all other opposing votes from that state will be absorbed by the winning votes.
Right.
So you, as an individual, might have not voted for that, but it doesn't matter. Your vote will ultimately be absorbed and be for what you didn't want it to be. So I think that's such a flawed system because already you have millions of people who are not being represented by doing that.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Because that wasn't their choice, right? You're basically saying it was what it wasn't. So yeah.
Right, it's not their choice that they're voting against, and yet because even if there's just one more vote than in its entirety in the opposition than what they have, then their votes get lumped in with the winning votes, all for the same candidate.
Right.
And again, I'm sorry, to me that's not even democracy.
Yeah. Obviously it was selected that way for a reason, but I think it was under a very, very different time. We can go into a lot of why the law was made when it was back 50 years ago, 200 years ago, whatever. It just doesn't seem to make a lot of sense today. But they haven't updated necessarily. It takes for a constitutional amendment. A lot has to happen. We don't just do that here.
Oh yeah,
for no reason.
it will take something like that. To me, the electoral college is an absolute cancer to democracy as we know it. It has been and will continue to be until it's fixed.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. 100%. Before I've only got a couple more minutes left before I got to run, but I know we typically end the show just on kind of like just open discussion, talk whatever we want about, and I'm glad you guys are all here. You're more than welcome to bring up stuff related to obviously what we're talking about here, EverGrow, Lucro, all that stuff. I didn't really get much into Lucro and the pricing of EverGrow and all that stuff, just because we're kind of in this gray zone right now. We're waiting for something to happen, right? I mean, obviously we're floating up and down with BNB. Don't really see a lot of volume right now. I'm still staking my Lucro, by all means, that's a good way to make free money, and I'm going to do the same thing with EverGrow. So if you guys have a question about that, or you're not too sure about staking, I know for some reason a lot of people have questions about staking. They don't really understand it, and they think of it as kind of like risky. And yeah, every time I've had stake my tokens, it's never really been an issue. It's the level of the difficulty to stake it. That's what I found was the most challenging. I've staked in the past with other platforms, and it was a nightmare, whereas I found staking Lucro was kind of a breeze by comparison. I'm hoping...
That's good.
Yeah. I don't know. Moon, do you stake at all?
No, not me personally. From the beginning, I've never been a staking person.
Yeah. Is it just something that you just rather have, liquidity handy if you want to sell?
Yeah, pretty much. I also don't think the risk is worth the reward. That's basically what it comes down to.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah.
But I can tell you this. I went on Google real quick, and I Googled, I literally just wrote crypto news. The very first article is from The Atlantic, and it says, "Is crypto dead?" Oh, here we go again.
Oh, yeah, exactly. How many times have we heard that before, right?
Oh, here we go with this crap again.
Yeah, exactly. And crypto's not dead, nowhere near dead. And, it's just this ebb and flow, right? It's like looking at a chart from, like a stock chart for over a period of like 50 years. You see it, if you zoom in, you can see it going down, or you see it going up, and when you zoom out, you see this kind of kind of momentum going forward, and it always points in the same direction, up. Yeah, I mean, if it's a good company,
and if it goes down, it will recover. Just you wait.
Exactly.
Always bounces back.
Yeah, exactly.
But all of those comments stir people up and sell newspapers or TV stations. So it's just like the argument right now about artificial intelligence is going to destroy the world. It's absurd when you look at it closely, but things like that, like talking about Yellowstone Park blowing and wiping out 3/4 of the United States. It's sensationalism. I have the presidential elections. If you're interested, Steve.
Yeah, go for it. I'm going to bring up an article that you guys will find very entertaining after you're done.
1824, John Quincy Adams over Andrew Jackson, with a biggest difference of 10.4%.
Wow.
Yes, and
that was the biggest.
That was the biggest difference. In other words, the popular vote, or the winner, Adams got 10% less votes than Jackson did. Rutherford B. Hayes in 1876, Benjamin Harrison in 1888, and then the two that I knew about was 2000, George Bush over Al Gore, and 2016, Trump over Hillary Clinton.
All right. Interesting stuff. Yeah. And that went to the Supreme Court, the Bush v. Gore, right? And because it was so close, and I think the Supreme Court decided not to hear the case because they didn't want this kind of political upset. And basically, I think Bush ended up by winning, Gore conceded, and interesting. That would not happen today, I don't think.
The other thing on this that I'm finding very interesting is the amount of turnout, the percentage of turnout for these 5 elections. Adams in 1824 was only 26.9% of the voters.
No.
Well, given the time period, I can forgive that.
Yeah.
Yeah, possibly. And 76 for Hayes was 81.8%. Benjamin Harrison was 79%. But very interesting to me is 2000 Bush Gore, only 51.2% of the registered voters showed up.
Wow.
And in Trump versus Clinton, only 56.3 showed
Trump
up.
versus Clinton was 56. What?
Yeah. Yes, even in the midst of all of that controversy and the screaming and ranting and raving and the Russian and other influences and whatever, you would have thought more people showed up. I think that might have been because Hillary Clinton was supposed to be a shoo-in, and a lot of people didn't bother voting.
Exactly.
And maybe the other side of that was nobody believing the vote counted anymore anyway,
right.
Thinking that the system is totally corrupted, so why bother?
Exactly, yeah. So this article I was going to read you guys, Blockworks. Gary Gensler meme coin outperforms the entire crypto market. The Gary Gensler of our reality is actually bad Gensler, and good Gensler is an ERC20 token meant to save crypto. SEC chair, yeah, I know, I love it. SEC Gary Gensler has a united crypto through the hatred of a common enemy. Now a meme coin inspired by crypto's #1 villain is rubbing salt in the wounds. Good Gensler, GENSLR, has more than doubled over the past month to outperform practically the entire market. More than 100 billion has been wiped from the crypto total market over that time, melted by the SEC suing both Binance, Coinbase. Bitcoin and ETH have respectively slipped 5% and 9%. Even worse, 18 tokens labeled crypto securities in the SEC's recent loss book have collapsed in between 11 and 41%. All this means that if the current market cycle were an 80s movie, crypto diehards would probably consider Gensler the love child of Biff Tannen and Hans Gruber. a big dummy sitting in the crumbling ivory tower. Yeah, and I'm seeing the chart too. It's crazy. It's a crazy chart, man.
Good Gensler.
Yeah, blockworks.co if you guys want to read the article. Pretty interesting stuff. Oh my god, just because it goes to show you can make a token about anything, right? And probably make money off of it. So yeah, you guys.
So we should all conspire together as a group to create a meme token.
Sam token. What do you think?
There you go. You got it.
Yeah, or we can go the other way. We can be the bad. You know,
a good Sam.
Good Sam.
A bad Cody token.
I love it. I love it. That's great.
CWP used the word conspire. I'm pretty sure the FBI will be on our doorstep.
Exactly. Yeah, that's funny.
No doubt. That was a red flag.
That's awesome. Guys, does anybody have anything they want to talk about before we close out the space for today? I just wanted to, I mentioned it last week in case you guys didn't mention it or didn't hear, but so based on the votes that we had for the profits used from the EverGrow store, that is going to be basically once we reach 1,000, right? That's when we do either a giveaway or a buyback and burn of EverGrow, or a combination of either or whatever, and that happens whenever we generate 1,000 in profits, right? And so,
what are you at right now?
I think right in the neighborhood of about 700-ish right now. So, but I put a clause in there, and I have to update the business plan. But if we don't reach that goal within 3 months, because people voted kind of for time, some people voted for, for a dollar amount. So I want to kind of honor both, right? So if we don't reach that goal in 3 months, it'll activate, and we'll go ahead and do a giveaway or a burn or whatever. So we got another month and a bit before that happens. I just want to give people a heads up on that. So,
all right.
Yeah. So, hopefully the timing works out good too when we have a release of something, and then we can kind of ride that wave, get people. Whenever you do giveaways, it's really it generates a lot of interest, especially if people are, sharing it out and retweeting and all that stuff.
Well, I still got to order the speaker.
Oh yeah.
Still got to order that. I don't know, next week or something, but I'll order it.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, I appreciate it. I know some people who've had repeat buyers, people coming in on a regular basis, just buying different things, whatever. How did that reprint work out there for you, Moon?
The what? Sorry.
The reprint of the keychain.
Oh, got it. Looks perfect.
Does it? Good. So you guys, we were behind the scenes, right? When Moon, he said, took a picture, he put it out there, and I looked at it, so, oh, that's awesome, it looks great. And then I looked again, and I was like, man, that thing is off center a little bit. And so I reached out to the printer, and I said, like, this is not cool. It does not look like perfect, right? And so they apologized, and they did a reprint and sent him a new one, and no charge. So the same thing with anything. If you guys get something,
God, it looks perfect. Actually, you want me to do like a tweet with both of them or something?
Yeah, if you feel like it, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll make a tweet.
Appreciate it.
No, the new one looks great.
Yeah. Another thing too is it was a while ago. It's about a month, 6 weeks ago. I had ordered some Atlas wallet shirts for the store, and so I'm donating those shirts to the store. So 100% of the profits are going towards basically towards the buyback and burner giveaways and all that stuff. I'm going to, because they weren't paid for by the store. They're paid for by me personally. I'm sending over a couple shirts to I'm drawing a blank on his name now. He does sometimes promotional videos for EverGrow on YouTube, and what do you call it? Why am I drawing a blank here? I need some
Crypto Control?
No, it's not him. It is. I'm looking through my list real quick here. Scripted Legend. And so I'm going to send him some shirts. I'll pay for those. And so that next time he does an EverGrow video, LunaSky, Alice Wallet, he will hopefully be wearing those and then promote our product.
So that's good. That's good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, anybody else have anything they want to add? Or I appreciate it, Moon, by the way, if you want to go ahead and do that. That's awesome. But anytime there's a printed, like let's say if I have something printed for you and you order a shirt or whatever, and if it doesn't look right, just let me know. I'll take care of it, and we'll get it right for you. There's no reason why you shouldn't accept anything that's, yeah.
I was going to get a couple of mugs, but because my wife was like, oh, we have 5 trillion mugs, why are you wasting money on more mugs? So yeah, she's kind of right. That's why I didn't get the mugs.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, we've got a ton of mugs too. We have too many mugs. It's just I've got my jumbo EverGrow mug, which is my go-to for pretty much everything. So cool. Well, if you guys don't have anything else, we'll go ahead and close out the space here pretty quick. So yeah, thank you all for joining, and those who came up to speak, especially Moon, CWP. I know you're gone now, but Christopher Eigner, and Cody and Rocket, thank you so much for being in the space today. Yeah, I'm going to, just so you know, the space is recorded. You can listen later on if you want to in Twitter, but it'll also be made available on YouTube. I'd really appreciate it if you went over there and subscribed to, you just look up EverGrow Steve. You'll find about 4 other videos that I've uploaded, space 41, 42, this will be 43. So it'll be on there, and then of course it'll be on the podcast streaming platform, Spotify, iHeartRadio, all that stuff. Just take me a day or so to get it all kind of put together so that you guys can listen and share it out there if you like. So yeah, I want to thank you guys for being here today. Thank you so much. Please join us next week, where we'll give you updates on EverGrow, LunaSky NFT Marketplace, Alice Wella, and the other utilities. So yeah, any final things you guys want to talk about before we go?
I love you, EGC fam.
Yeah, you guys are the best. You really are. You got the best community in crypto, hands down. I mean, appreciate all the support. You guys are great. You guys are amazing. Yeah, I really appreciate you all for being here and for supporting the project and just being so positive. Just believing that we can do it, and we really can. Diamond hands, baby. So yeah, you guys have a great rest of your weekend. If you are a father, wishing you guys a happy Father's Day tomorrow. And I don't know if they have Father's Day elsewhere outside of the States on a different day maybe, but happy Father's Day if you're in America. So have yourself a great day, a great weekend, and we'll talk to you next week. Thank you so much, guys. Bye for now.
Have a good weekend, guys.